Okay, to council, welcome tonight, council, and we do have one small change as we change our agenda. I can actually, as chair, call the meeting to order, so I'll do that now at 6 p.m. And I want to give a shout out to all the volunteers and the people that contributed this past weekend to the 4-on-4 tournament and to the Do at the Legion. I was able to attend both. I saw some faces out there too, all having a good time. So big shout out to all the organizers and to Kenny Mayhew and all his crew. And I'll hand it over to Deputy Mayor Peter Kistler.
The Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne would like to begin by respectfully acknowledging the land on which we gather here today is the Treaty 9, 1905-1906 territory, the traditional lands of Indigenous peoples. As we work towards reconciliation, may we all live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship with all its diverse peoples.
Thank you, Peter. Item number 3, review and note any changes to the agenda. There's just one small clarification. Is for item number 6, deputation. We're actually going to switch that to the presentation. Council invited the Curling Club back in January, and it also gives us more allowances in our procedure bylaw to allow for extra time if we need it. And if I can get a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda, moved by Councillor Peter Kistmaker, second by Councillor Belinda Kistmaker, be it resolved that Council does hereby approve the agenda as presented. Those in favor? And that is carried. Item number 5 is declaration of pecuniary interest and declaration of conflict of interest. Council, you can do that at any time throughout the meeting if such a situation arises, and I don't have any paperwork right now. So item number 6 is we do have a presentation tonight from the Curling Club, Judy Mann, President, and Shana, Drury, Executive. And I welcome you to council chambers, both of you. You're welcome to take the floor. We do have your document, and I have to give you a shout out. That was a well-prepared document. It gave us a lot of information. So we're willing to have a discussion. So come on up. And you can bring your chairs up if you want to sit at the end, if that's more comfortable. You can do that too. Here. I'm just worried that we're not going to see you both. That's all. That everyone can see. Sure. Yeah, for sure. All right.
Well, first of all, thanks for having us. And this is a well overdue meeting that we've needed to have for years. And we're glad that we're able to have that tonight. So since everyone has had the chance to read it ahead of time, we'll get right to our number 1 is the shared space. So it's been a long 14 years that the Curling Club has been, or the fitness facility has been in the club room. And we're just hoping that after 14 years of not a 50-50 share, but that we can have a little more than what we've been given. And I mean, we understand like coming in the next few years is going to be the expansion, and the fitness facility is going to have their own brand new space. So we hope that we can have a little bit of this for ourselves, since we have been quite patient these 14 years with this shared space.
Right now, we were given 4 windows, the windows that look out onto the ice surface, right? And there's 13 altogether. We were given 4, and we'd like 6 or 6.5 to make it fair as a shared space. It's supposed to be a shared space, so we need a little bit more space, especially when there's little rockers there, or if we're trying to fundraise with an event or whatever. We're always crowding in there. You know, most times we only have 3 tables, few chairs against the windows, and it's not quite enough. So
that was an option, and then another option was to be giving us the full room for the 3 months that we do curl. And it might seem a lot for some people to think that, oh, you have to get that fitness facility out of there, but for 14 years, we haven't had anything to fundraise. One weekend out of the year is our next closing next, where the fitness facility is out, and we just get it for that weekend and a week for preparation. So we're hoping that there's some kind of compromise here, that one of those 2 options you guys would be willing to settle with.
it may just be a couple of machines. Jay said he hadn't moved anything out. So if we do get 50%, then he may have to move a couple of machines out, that's all. It's not. We're not asking for a lot
No.
after 14 years. I mean, really, the gym is getting its own space, but it probably will be 3 more years before, which means we have to share for another 3 years.
Okay.
So,
Is there other asks that you want to highlight tonight before I open up for questions and conversation?
Yeah.
Well, just about the space, and it just leads on to not being able to do the fundraising we've hoped to do, because we have no space to do it. And we have had to rent out other spaces in order to fundraise, so it it's defeating the purpose. We're putting out money to use a space that we have, but we don't have access to. So we're having to put out our fundraising money in order to fundraise some more.
Yeah.
So, we're just hoping that, we finally get a 50-50 share of this facility.
Okay, do you have an example of when you've had to purchase a space or rent a space?
Just this past weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, we had to, you guys gave us a break on it,
Mhm.
fortunately. However, we still had to use that. I mean, we would have been using that, paying rent if that space was ours. And then we've had tables at trade shows just to try to get
Legion.
careers
We
out.
also rented the gym at the public school.
Yeah.
For garage sales and things like that.
Yeah.
So
Because we don't have a
it's a
space.
cost factor.
Okay, and I'm purposely asking that
Yep.
to see ways that we can help. Like if
Yep.
that has to continue for a couple of years,
Yeah.
how can we help with that as well, okay?
Well, I think if we were given 50%, we may be able to do a little bit more fundraising up there. Right now, that space is pretty small to do anything. That 4 windows is not.
So just to clarify on the 50%, are you looking just for the 6 windows then? Is that 50% or half? So the first portion when you walk in is all,
Yeah, it would be probably up to the bar, approximately.
Up to the first,
Yeah.
the side of the bar.
okay,
That's what we're looking for, from there to the main doors where you come in.
okay. And then for that too, then there would be it would be January, February, and March that you would need the whole 50%. But then after that, are you looking at that 50% all year round?
No,
No.
we're not there. We're not gonna be
No.
renting.
Okay,
Just-
well, I
just
just
for
want to
the
make sure you
curling.
have
Yeah, just
opportunities
for the
for
curling
fundraising.
season, so when we
Okay.
step on the ice and when we finish our Bontsville, which is,
Well, that you get the whole space, like we don't want to backtrack.
we
on
could
that.
extend a little bit, like next year, the Easter is we've already looked the middle of April. So we could extend a little bit into the first weekend of April, but I don't know, but
And when you had mentioned about future, so if this is the case that we do get it for the 3 months, afterwards, if we're willing to do fundraising, would you guys compromise on giving us a break on using that space on the ice surface, like to do such fundraising?
yeah.
That's
Since we
exactly
wouldn't have-
why I was asking the
yeah.
question. So
Yeah.
I think, like council will have a discussion, but I've sat at this table long enough to know that they're all community supported and
Mhm.
community minded, and they succeed. And we realize that we've all been dealing with challenges over the last over a decade now, and we're slowly, coming out of that hopefully. So, yeah, we want to work with you
Yeah,
for
that
sure.
would be good if we could have some fundraising on the ice surface,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
for sure. And
Okay.
we have partnered with the Legion a little bit as well, for fundraising, right?
Mhm.
So they do the bar, we'll have something else, right? To charge
An
for it.
event, yeah.
An event. We would have an event, charge admission or registration, I guess. And they would pick up the bar.
Okay.
So, yeah. So it works. It's good for both, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there anything else that you want to highlight before I open up for the floor? Is there any?
Not on the space.
Not on the
Do we
space?
want to go kind of?
Yeah, you can go
paragraphically?
through. I want to give you
We'll do
opportunity
that
to
if you guys
highlight.
want to discuss the space, and then we can move on to the next.
Yeah. Okay, so I open up the floor for questions for the space. Go ahead, Councilor Christopher.
More of a comment than a question. First of all, thank you, everybody, for the communities, especially small ones, really need volunteers like you guys. You're doing lots, and I'd like to see you get 100% of the space back,
Mhm.
because it's your club. But, and I realize and we all realize that that's like a big part of your fundraising. So I know we'll come up with something, and on the same token, that weightlifters are paying an awful lot.
Yeah.
But we do have a new gym that's gonna be built here within the next couple of years. And all of us really want to work with you. And I think what you're asking is very reasonable. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Counselor Shana, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies. I do have a question. In number 2, it says our club should hold priority in this space that was built with fundraising money by volunteers for as a curling club, not a fitness facility. How much of that? So I wasn't here. So how much of that facility would the curling club have contributed towards? Any idea?
Well, it was always a curling club.
Yes, but it says that it was built with fundraising money by volunteers.
Yeah, it was a Wintario grant.
Okay.
The old club had burnt down, that would happen. And then there was a couple of years, and then they built a new one with a Wintario grant and the community. So, I mean, we had payroll deduction, my husband hauled cement. I mean, there was lots of people that were there. Hubble Shoots was a big supporter.
Ted may not know that it was in
Yeah.
That's
addition
right,
to the
right.
building.
It was in addition to the arena. that
So it was
already-
built
Yeah.
onto it
Thank you very much.
as a curling club, yes.
As it was built to be a curling club.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I always like hearing history. I didn't know any of that. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
like hearing that.
yes.
There's about 8 years between the two buildings, if I remember.
Yeah, it was quite a feat. Hauling lumber, donated all, it was, a major feat.
Yeah,
Any other questions, Belinda?
no,
No, you're good?
I want to hear more.
Okay, let's carry on then. I don't have any questions further.
Okay, well, just in conclusion, that shared space, saying a shared space, it really hasn't been shared. And I mean, we've said that point in here, and we're just hoping that we can get more than what we've been given. All right, so the number 3 is the rental costs. And I believe the last meeting we were at, Belinda, I believe it was you weren't even aware that we were getting charged from the day the plant was turned on. I recall you saying that. And maybe a lot of other people don't. It was just a continuous agreement that has been going on since. And so then last year when the plant broke and we weren't able to start it up, council had given us a break on our rent. And then we kind of come on thinking, well, why are we paying for a service to the community, which a community center is, and which was stated in here, when other organizations, like the arena side, minor hockey doesn't pay from the day the plant gets turned on. So we were kind of, well, that just doesn't seem fair.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of money. I believe our rent would be, about $6,000-7,000 a month from the day. And that's a lot of fundraising. So
Again, and then we
Yeah.
don't have a space to fundraise for
Yeah.
that money.
So, and as Richard and Bennett had said, because I had made the comment about, a recreation facility doesn't make money. And in any community, it just doesn't. It's not for profit. This is a service to our community. So we're hoping that like other communities in the arena side, that we're willing to pay our rent like anyone else, but to be more fair and to do it the day we step on the ice, the day we start utilizing it, not the pre-preparation, because that needs to be done in order for these recreation facilities to be open. So we just don't understand why we're paying on one end to get it up and running, plus all the months that.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's a big thing. It's lots.
And I know I've been standing to help pay the cost, but that's a service to the community, a recreation facility, and it has to get turned on in order for it to move forward. So we're just hoping that from now on, we can pay our rent from the date we actually start curling, from our first day to our last day.
Okay. Any questions on that, council?
Good.
Okay, carry on.
Oh, you want to speak on number 5? Oh, sorry, you don't have it. Or did you have anything on fundraising?
No.
Okay.
Just-
So years ago, this was about 12 years ago, that flooring was replaced by the curling club fundraising money. And it was brand new. And then it wasn't long, it was in 2010 that the fitness went in, and now that floor is totally destroyed. It's from the banging of the weights. There's dents in the floor, the black from the mat. So not only that, but the blinds, the smell in there. So we're hoping that there needs to be a plan in place for when this addition comes along, that money's gonna come from somewhere, that it's not coming out of our pocket, because that will help refurbish, replace the flooring, like the damage that's been done. So I mean, I know it may be 3 years away, but I think there has to be something set to plan to start saving now for that.
It probably needs painting and.
Yeah, oh, definitely painting.
Just needs a
It needs a
clean
good
up, eh?
cleaning, but the flooring, I believe, will have to be totally replaced. Yeah, and it was brand new flooring, and it was about $20,000 back in.
25, I
yeah,
think, to
yeah.
be exact.
And that was all fundraising money.
100%.
Yeah. Even when we moved the club room upstairs, so when the gym went in, we approached council about having a small club room upstairs. And we were told, yeah, do whatever you want, but as long as it doesn't cost us anything. So the club paid for the paint, we paid to have the floor done.
The sink put
Now,
in.
that was not this council, okay, just to clarify,
Mhm.
but that's what we were told. So we did, and we had inspections come in, and we got it certified so that we could have it upstairs. But as people are getting older, the stairs are not great, right? Especially when you've had a bit of alcohol, it's better if we're down. You know, the canteen was open. It's too bad we didn't curl. The canteen was open this year. It would have been really a nice venue to go to, but anyway.
And on that note, we bought all our own cleaning supplies. We cleaned everything ourselves.
Yeah,
It was strictly all.
it's been
our-
maintained by the curling club.
Yeah.
Up until
Yeah, up until
3 years ago.
Yeah.
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 Since just before COVID, when we were open, because it was closed for a year, and then it was open, and then COVID was closed for 2. Then we were open again, and then we were closed again. So,
Okay. So just a couple of questions on that.
Yeah.
For people having accessibility issues for the second floor, would you want some lockers and space for some curlers so they had space on the main floor?
Never thought of that.
we probably could do something.
We probably could bring a row of.
A row of lockers, like 6 lockers or something, yeah. Lockers upstairs that aren't being used we made the locker room a co-ed one, so that the other room upstairs was the club room, right?
And if
When
we
the
do
gym
have
went
more
in.
space, we would have more space possibly to put that in the entranceway.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
lockers for people who can't get upstairs.
Right, I'm thinking
Yeah.
about like the time when we completely vacate that space from the weight room, right? Like it's totally back to yours, and we're looking at upgrading floors, the blinds, the dealing with the smell, the painting, and trying to get an extensive list of what the wants would be.
The
So that
bar.
it's all done at the bar. See,
The bar,
so,
yeah.
but there's time, right? We
Yep.
have time now.
Yeah,
So
that's
then we
what
can
the
get,
plan ahead.
yeah,
and-
like, let's get the curling club on board for what you'd like to see there, and then any type of issues, because I know right now the stairs have carpet on them, right? And I think for safety, it would probably be wise to keep it that way for carpeting.
I don't know.
So those are some of the things we
Yeah.
can investigate ahead of time, right? To make sure they're done the safest and the easiest to clean and that sort of thing. But, and all of the windows for the viewing surface, are they acceptable or?
Yeah, I think they're
Yeah,
fine.
they're still
Yeah,
fine.
fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other further questions on that from council? Go ahead, council.
What year, Shannon, did you say the $20,000 is spent on the flooring?
Maybe it was back in 2008. I think it was before.
It was a while
it was
ago.
actually
Gina was
before the
president,
fitness,
I think.
and it wasn't long. It was only
And
1 or
Judy.
2 seasons that it was even brand new, and then the fitness moved in there in 2010.
So you're looking at almost 30,000 in today's dollars.
Could be, yeah.
100% fundraising.
I've curled here for 49 years, or whatever, 2 years close, but I'm just saying, I remember when there was rug in there, right?
I think
And
there always has been, right?
There was
Yeah.
completely rug,
Completely
like-
done when it was built.
and then it was shampooed and cleaned, and then eventually was just like, it needs to go. So that's when they put the floor in. But there was a lot more people in the community then, a lot more curlers in the club then. So
Yeah, more help.
So the fundraising money was bigger than it is now, you know?
But we're determined that when we get that space,
Yeah.
it's gonna come back because people will have an actual club to go to.
Yeah, I have to
Enjoy.
agree with you, Shannon.
Yeah, and
Shannon, that
it's
is-
everyone
that's hindered it.
encouraging, physical fitness for mental health.
Yep.
That's my mental health, I'm telling you, when I go out 2 days a week to curl, that's for me, right?
Yeah,
Like, and I'm sure it's for everybody.
And Little Rockers, we had 30
Yeah,
last
yeah.
year. So that maybe,
Yeah.
that's growing. Maybe we'll be having it 2
Yeah.
nights, like,
And we
Just,
need the
you know.
kids to curl.
yeah,
Because
those
if
are our
they
next,
don't, they're
the
not
next
gonna-
generation.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
need them to curl.
Counselor Sherman, go ahead.
Through you, Madam Mayor. You mentioned the canteen. Would the curling club, just future thought, would the curling club, because you're long-standing, be interested in, coming to run the canteen? So that's food for thought, because that's going to be available again, and it would be good if you were long-standing to be able to have something where it was gonna be generated right back into.
Yeah, I've already
So
kind of
kick that
talked
around.
to minor hockey about that, maybe sharing that with them. I probably
It
haven't
would be
told you that,
difficult,
but
though,
it
yeah.
might be difficult, but you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's getting the people, right? And a lot of people work full-time and.
Yeah.
And it's just getting, even just on our events, to get volunteers is difficult. So to commit to that, and you can test anyone who's taken over that canteen, it's a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
So in this life, I don't.
But we never say no.
Not me,
Never
but you
say no.
do. That's your second job, Judy.
Shannon's protecting her mental health for
Yeah.
2 nights. She's like, I just want
I
to go.
don't mind,
curl.
I don't mind cooking, but I also want to curl
Yeah.
a couple more years
Yeah.
before I can't anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Starting to do it
But
all.
that is a fundraiser, and it is something to look at and whatever, unless somebody takes it,
Okay, do we want to carry on? Any other questions at this point, Kim? No? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and that, we'll kind of get into the next point, number 6, about we just kind of discussed this in the beginning. Could we get some kind of compensation of this 14 years of being unable to have a club and do what a club should be doing? And just having the membership, the space. It was kind of, and back in 2010, we weren't even given an option. It was just kind of, okay, hey guys, Jim's going in there, boom, suck it up. Like, and that really sucked.
The president wasn't even informed.
No,
She just has to go up there for something and they were moving the gym in there.
Oh,
So I mean, that was not nice.
and it was a
No.
consideration on our behalf, like it would almost be like a Mason Hall or a Lions Club throwing something in it. Like those clubs are a club for a reason, and a curling club, I think, is just as important as any club. So,
Okay, so when you look at compensation, what does that look like to you?
well, I mean, not only all the upgrades, but I don't know, a monetary thing to help us out in seasons to come.
Yeah.
Something, some kind of, even a donation, because right now, like our agreement was $155 a day, so, you add that or times that by 30 days or whatever, like it's quite expensive, and for the amount of people and for the amount of time and space we have for fundraising, it's a lot. So thank God our closing mix helps raise the money to help pay for our 3 months. But I mean, some kind of monetary help,
Whether it be in the form of.
Yeah.
The daily, we pay by the day, not by the hour. So we pay every day. So 7 days a week, every 3 months. So we're charged per day, right? So maybe there's compensation there a little bit with keeping it at a lower rate. Well, not even a lower rate, but at the rate it is, it's not bad.
We just feel we've been given the short end of the stick, right? Like now 14 years, like
Yeah.
it's time has come and let's get that out of there.
Yeah.
It's our space, yeah.
Any
People want it
questions
back.
for council? Go ahead, Pete.
If for some reason, this thought is not my own, somebody else talked about it. Going forward, if we're delayed with the construction of the addition to the arena facility, would it be feasible that we could look at, because we got the structural engineering report that where the gym originally was is actually structurally sound enough to handle it, no problem but maybe go for a grant or get something somehow that we can, so once we have the new gym in place, we can convert that renovated space into something else that you could use. 'Cause I'm just worried about
I just find that on this job that everything is so slow. And 14 years has been a long time, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I sympathize with you guys.
Temporarily.
You know, so it's just something we can look at, but whether or not that's, I don't think it's financially feasible unless we can get a grant or something or whatever. I don't know, but it's something to think about.
Yeah, I'm with you, Peter, and I'm with you on temporary. If you wanna know my term for my time as mayor, is fixing the temporary. Like,
That's nice to
because
hear.
everything's temporary.
Yeah.
But, okay, thank you for that, Peter. And we'll carry on, or Belinda, go
I
ahead.
think there was something in here where you talked about, and I believe I heard this in the past, where the curling club never knew where they stood with the township when it came to the cleaning supplies or
The renting. costs, yeah.
yeah, all those things.
Everything. Yeah, just to clarify.
I
what's
found that
expected.
you're, so saying that and seeing it in here again, it's like, should, when a contract is drawn up for you guys for the next following year, shouldn't you be at the table negotiating on how you,
What's expected.
what is
Yeah.
expected, so we're all on the same page, because I've heard this for years, that they've always had the same issue, and I would like to see that cleared up, so we're never talking about it again.
Yep.
So,
And that is, one of the points, the expectations of when we're renters and when we're not renters. Because when we are renters, we're paying that $155, so just like renting any space, or when you rent a hotel room, you go in and things and clean, or when you rent any space, it's the garbage is cleaned out, the tables, like, just like this weekend, like, they took care of the garbages, they're taking care of the tables, all the arena staff, I mean, because we were renting that space. So that, well, like in previous years, we had bought all our own cleaning products. That costs a lot after you want to clean a club that space, and we had bought our own vacuum cleaner. And we were literally sucking up the flies every time we would go up there, because they'd be this thick on the window ledges and on the carpet all over. So, and this leads to another of having like the walkthrough, there were water issues up through, and I know it's happening now with the walkthroughs, but at certain points, there wasn't a walkthrough because we had walked into the club and there were about 800 flies on the floor. So and if there were water issues, just for the safety of the building too, because there have been water issues up there. So,
Because it's
just,
older,
yeah,
Okay.
that we're just asking when we're not there.
Yeah.
That the club kind of gets looked after,
Okay.
because we looked after it, you know. We look after it when we're there, and if, you know, when I was pres, not anymore, but anyway, I was up there lots, I would vacuum, you know, wash the floor, like, we did all that stuff. It was, but as renters, we don't, I don't know, like, are we expected to do that? Or maybe, you know, I don't know.
Well, it needs to be clarified in
Yeah.
the contract. I'm on the same page
That's
as
something
Belinda.
that
I'd
needs
rather
to
it be
be-
clear roles and responsibilities, what's expected, what's not expected, and what's our responsibility when you're not renting it, right? Because I don't think that's right either, but
Yes.
if we don't have it all spelled out.
And the original contract was Curling Club has it for 6 months and the township had it for 6. Like that, we would rent it for 6 and then,
Yeah, and I'd like to build into the contract too, that like never again do you show up and there's just weight facility equipment going in there.
yeah,
Like that should be right in your contract. If you're a main renter of that space, then there should be some due diligence to ensure you're informed if something, you know, catastrophic or whatever happened, like if we had to use it for emergency center or
and when we
something,
get
right?
back, we don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe
Right.
we will rent it for 4 or 5 months. Maybe we will keep it on just to
Yeah,
do some fundraising while we have it. We haven't, you know, like, rather than have it just there empty, you know, once the club is, and that's,
There's such a shortage of rental spaces in town, so
Yeah.
that would be a good idea to be able to rent it out.
Yeah.
For showers, for anything.
that we could, if we were renting it, then we could rent it out, right?
right.
Yeah, so.
Go ahead, Peter.
Just as a clarification, when the original agreements were set up between the township of Mann and you guys, the club was always included, right? Was it always included or was that extra?
What do you mean?
the club room.
Oh, the club room, the whole building
It
was
all
included
part
in
of
the,
Okay,
so the ice surface, the club room, the upstairs, which were 2 change rooms, actually.
Because realistically, we're renting a place that we haven't, I don't know what the pricing was, but they have so many square feet, and we took away a considerable amount, which was probably the main part, because other than curling being the most important part.
Yeah.
Is fundraising, so that's something we should be looking at going, maybe giving them a break or something to compensate, like Judy was alluding to earlier.
Mhm, mhm.
I mean, it's like getting a vehicle, but you're missing a couple seats and, you know, that's still paying the same price.
Right, yeah.
Well, because it's really hard to fundraise. Like if you have an event, a 1-day event, you might make $700-800. So you have to, you know, from 1 month's rent, you have to have 5 events. We're not even there.
You're fundraising all year.
We're fundraising, yeah, that's what we're doing, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, we will continue to fundraise to be able to afford the rent, right? That's,
Go ahead.
And also, like, once the clouds clear and we can get this figured out, you have the whole club room back, you're gonna get more people out there too.
oh, I think so.
We're just, Cheryl and I were just talking, and everybody, we're all talking about how nice it was the arena this weekend, seeing it so full. That's the arena. I
And had
remember
the
when I was
gym
a
not
kid.
been there, we would have had the bar and the curling club.
Mhm,
That would have been, and not on the ice surface, right? We would have been in the club room.
mhm.
So that's, you know,
Okay, so we still have one point
Yeah.
left to discuss?
Just the repair for this year's, what am I trying to say?
breakdown.
Yes, breakdown. Like, we were kind of holding off on curling until this part that was supposed to come in. And then when it was just gonna be too late for us to even make it worthwhile, it was only gonna give us about 6 weeks of curling, which is too much work for just 6 weeks of curling. So we decided to pull the plug on it. And then we were just told that it was gonna be repaired when the part came in. So when the part did come in, now we're being told that it's not gonna be repaired till the summer now. So the only issue is with that is that we're worried that because the plant is so old, that come summer, they're gonna go repair it. If there's other issues, it's gonna extend the repair process. Or because the plant is so old, and they may not be able to get the parts. And I understand it was for the cost of getting the company in here, but they were gonna be here anyway if we were gonna have curling.
Yeah.
So whether the cost was in February or the summer, it's gonna be a cost to the township to get it repaired. It's just, we're already without a season and we're just worried now this is gonna lead into, we can't find the part. September, October, we hope to open by January. The plant needs to get turned on in November, that it's cutting it too close. So, I mean, yeah, it just seems, and that leads into another point. I've been in touch with a lady from the club in Cape Real. Their plant totally is gone. And they have had, now it's called Oxford Energy Solutions. And this is where I come into the planning of a plant, because our plant, I think it's the original from the original club. So it's got to be 50 years old. So a question was, is there any planning or any discussions about when this plant is going to run out of life? Like, is it just going to be all of a sudden it's gone and then we have to figure out what we're going to do and that could lead us to years without curling? Or can we start planning and finding and researching now these new, because there's lots of stuff out there now. Like I was just going to say, this Oxford Energy Solutions, they save on hydro and water. They have a website in the plant in Cape Real. She just had a meeting with the main guy from it. I can't recall his name. And she just told me, she goes, that's the way you guys should go. It's all energy efficient. I don't know how plants run, but maybe it's something to look into for not now, but the plant's not going to last forever. And then we're going to be in the same predicament we are in right now with no club.
We used to curl 6 months. Now we're down to 3. So the plant really hasn't been under any, you know, it should last a little bit longer because we're not using it as much, right? But
It's getting
just
parts
with
so
stuff
difficult.
sitting in there and.
I'm
Yeah.
totally on board with
Yeah.
we have to plan for it. We
Yeah.
started actually the talks, a year ago, December 2022, because we had a little bit of a hiccup there. And we were informed of the age and everything and what was
Yeah.
pre-planned and what wasn't. And we have looked into that, actually on a capital discussion tonight of how to do that. And we have, talked with, GMF, so that's, the Green Municipal Fund. I went to a Sustainable Communities Conference last year in February. And we talked about how you recoup the heat, and if we look at upgrading one plant, can we upgrade two? So those discussions are going on. It's just finding how, basically, it's really finding the money to pay for it, right? But it's not gonna last forever. I'm gonna say, I was disappointed we didn't get this season out of it. It was, because we had it as ready as we could,
Mhm.
and then it failed right at the end. And,
Yes.
and that was totally disappointing to me.
And I think they're you're looking at a plant that does both, right?
Yeah,
We'll do the curling
Yeah.
club and the arena.
that's one of the discussion
next-
items, yeah,
that's-
yeah. So
And
that
that
was-
may very well take another 5 years to even get that up and running, right? You don't know how that would even work and to get the money for it.
But even with that being
So-
said, I think it needs to happen quicker, Shannon.
Mhm.
It's like I don't know if the 5 years of the plant we currently have, I wouldn't wanna wait that long. So,
Because we're just afraid it's gonna happen, is that the plant's just gonna die and then it'll be, oh, we don't have any money.
yeah,
And it'll be like a
Yeah.
temporary fitness facility. It could be another 10 years before, and curling will be too long gone.
yeah.
And we gotta keep it going.
Yeah,
That's what we
yeah,
gotta-
yeah.
Curling used to be huge here, and we have to get that back.
Mhm, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna open up the floor for final discussion or questions from council at this time. Go ahead.
It's more of a comment that, I know we talked about it, and then Dwayne, our public works manager, was looking into that with the double plant for efficiency and whatnot. The arena's old as well, but I know they're gonna do the best they can.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's a very old piece of equipment, and we can't make promises that we can't keep.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
We
We
understand.
really,
And we know those parts are hard to get because they're so obsolete now, those
Yeah.
systems, right? Yeah.
you can have it up and running, everything working fine,
Oh,
on the day of the start.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Because of, like you said, because of the age, it's very hard to get the parts.
Yeah, we understand. We understand. We're still moving forward with everything. Hopefully it gets fixed and we get a couple, 2 or 3 years, and then hopefully by then the community may have a plan for whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Any further questions at this time? There
You
being
had
none?
me at the 14 years. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's a long time.
You know what?
There's
It just-
teenagers that have never seen it
Yeah.
without what it is,
Yeah.
you know?
And this
Like-
weekend's a perfect example of what it could be.
Mhm.
And have you ever heard anybody say, oh, I didn't have a good time at the curling club?
Didn't go in my mouth.
They had
We
almost
need it for
100
the
hockey
community.
players.
Yeah.
We have that for Bondsville as well. 3 days.
We need it for our community because
So-
hockey will use it. They'll rent the space. Hockey tournaments, they could rent the space.
Yeah.
We got bonds.
The curling club, Bondsville.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And now with the hotel, that will really help.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so I want to thank you first of all for coming and for giving us a detailed list. I think moving forward, we need more of a concrete plan of what you need that curling club to look like, the club room itself,
Yeah.
for when the weight room's out of there, because that is going to happen. And we'd like to build that in ahead of time. I think this year we can definitely work on a contract, the negotiation contract, and look at that. And ensure that there's, it won't be perfect the first year, but let's make it perfect as we go, right? Like, let's work on it. And we'll have council discussion on the fees about the plant to the time you're on the ice.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that and see what we can afford on that topic itself. And then the CAO will have direction when she's in negotiations with you for, just building that contract better. And putting in, like, I wrote some things down, like, definitely the expectations, the
Yes.
questions you asked tonight, like, let's hammer those out in that contract.
Yeah.
And then the walkthroughs, Judy, like you said, who's doing that when when it's not
When
being
we're not
rented.
there.
Yeah, when you're not there, right?
Because it's an older building, it really, somebody needs to just walk through once a day.
Yeah,
Like, there are people up there, just, you know, you need to go upstairs and see what's going on. Plus, pick up the flies, like.
right. Well,
It
even
looks
just,
awful if you had to go up there with somebody and then the carpet is just flies. Like,
yeah, and mention that when, you're talking about the refurbishment of the space, please put that in there about the flies.
Yeah.
Because that's something that we have to look at, what's going on there. Like, if it's,
Oh, I think, yeah, it's
Yeah.
just, they're in the ceiling, they just come out when it's
Mhm.
warm,
Okay,
you know, and stuff like that, right? It's just a couple of months, a year, but
Yeah.
still, it's,
but like, we can pesticide, there's
Yeah,
things I can do, like, let's
could
kill
be
them, why do we
swept
have them there? Yeah,
And that's another maintenance thing, is getting, new toilets. Those toilets, I think, have been there since, and probably just get the new energy efficient toilets for that, things like that to be changed over.
yeah, so I put
That could
that
be with the
all
whole
restored
refurbishment of the
upstairs.
whole club, yeah.
Yeah, let's put that all in a wish list.
Shannon and I'll talk
And so
and
that
then
we,
we'll-
yeah,
with the rest of the executive,
Yeah.
and then we'll get certain points made out, and then we can bring it to council, or we'll
okay.
send an email or something.
So those two action items we can definitely do this year, like looking at the contract, improving it for this year. And then, looking at a win-win for the refurbishment of the club. I'm completely in agreement that you had no say in putting the equipment there.
No.
It ruined, all sorts of fundraising labor that was used to buy that floor. That's unfair.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out how do we move forward with
Yeah.
that, right?
And we do small repairs with our money.
Mhm.
If we have extra, we do small repairs, putting up a little shelf, or, you know, pay, like I said, paying for cleaning supplies, or, you know, I don't know, we do stuff, buying bags to vacuum,
Yeah,
things like that, buying a vacuum, like, we have done lots, and
well, let's hash that out in the contract and what the responsibilities are when you're renting.
Yeah.
And let's be clear about it. And then you have something to back onto as well, like what you were saying, when you rented the space this weekend, you didn't have to take care of garbage, right? Because you were renting.
Yeah.
And it was taken care of, which it makes it a more enjoyable experience for when you have volunteers, right? There's people coming in. and doing
everything
that.
is volunteer.
Yeah,
And it has been for, as long as I've been here, 50 years almost.
Yeah, and you don't wanna lose the people that are putting the time in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, and we need new people to come out, and that's a big thing too. like,
Yeah.
Trying to get.
And I love what Shana said. I've never heard anyone say that they haven't had a good time with Curling
Yeah.
Club.
I know I
That could
have.
be a tagline.
Always, always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna ask Eileen, is there anything else we should discuss at this time right now that you can think of?
No,
No? Okay. So I do wanna just give you a little bit of history. So back in 2019, we did apply for that big grant for the arena, trying to get the curling club back their space. We ended up getting that money. COVID inflated prices 3 times. So what we were gonna spend about 5 million turned into 13 million. We had to wait for a change of scope from the government, which we just received in February, so that we can move forward with the weight room and the library moving up there. And we're discussing that capital budgets coming up, it'll probably be the discussion of the year, because we have so many capital budgets we've gotta look at, and into the future too. It doesn't stop there, right? We're building back about 40 years of trying to push ourselves forward, because we had good infrastructure for so long that we didn't have to worry so much about it, but now it's all coming due, right? So, but we'll continue working with you, and we'll have discussions with Eileen, but we can work on that project, or the contract for this year.
Yeah.
And then find out what you want that refurbishment to look like for upstairs and downstairs.
Yeah.
I'd rather you have more on the list than less, okay?
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for hearing us.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate you coming. Okay, I'm wondering if we can move discussion time, because some of the items that we discussed tonight are gonna be covered in our capital budget.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we, council, are you agreeable, we revisit the curling club discussion topics in the beginning of May? But some of them are gonna come through, like the plan's gonna come up in our curling club, in the capital budget talks and stuff. So, but anything that's outstanding, we'll look at it again there. Does that fit, or is
So-
the second meeting in May?
So you want to bring back the council or curling club refurbishment list? Is that what?
No, I would give them more time for that. We can reach out to that, maybe
So just curling club discussion
Yeah,
is going to
yeah.
come back for May 15th,
May
maybe?
15th. Just like you can think about what was said tonight, anything that doesn't come up that we haven't solidified on, we can get an update from yourself on any contract, because that'll give you time to look at the contract.
Yeah,
Yeah, and anyway, I think to the budget, like, I'm not sure, just from the discussion tonight, the plant goes on, and it sounds like it goes on for almost a month and a week. So what those costs would be for us to negotiate that away, or how we would absorb those if we could this year even.
I think that information might have come to council before, but I can look into it.
Okay, well, we'll just gather it all together and then, yeah, go ahead, Peter.
I'd also like to find out, because we always try to they compare themselves to the hockey club, which justifiably so, the two ice surfaces, but they're apples and oranges. I'd like to actually see how, if they pay by the day and the hockey pays by the hour, is the hockey paying more? And just so we can see if everything's on the same, because if it's like it was discussed, where they pay for everything and the other side gets it for free, doesn't seem right, but I have a funny feeling it's not like that. So I just would like to have all the information, the whole story.
Okay, like for all the payments, so like
Yeah.
what are like minor hockey's complete payments?
Because I
for the
know like
year?
minor hockey provides all their own insurance, all their own through NOHA, whatnot.
Okay, go ahead.
And to add to that, I'd like information on the fitness center, like, how many members we have again, because it might have grown since the last time we talked about it. Even the possibility if they were by themselves and running their own club with the money that we generate from there, could they sustain themselves by themselves? Get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
I'm kind of curious.
okay.
So in which way sustain themselves, like their own building?
If they had their own building, we weren't part of it, do you think that they would be able to sustain themselves?
So are you asking
No,
me?
go ahead, Peter.
The curling club, right?
No,
No.
the fitness center,
I don't believe they would.
okay, because that makes a difference, a huge difference.
Okay, but we do need those numbers for making decisions moving forward, because, and then if we have any surplus funds from the weight room, I do think it's justifiable to use some of that for the curling club.
Yes,
Like if that, like, I don't think it's fair that, anyone has to fundraise again to change a floor. When,
I
and they had no
100%.
choice, like, I
That's
can't
right.
even imagine the day that happened. Like our town was already being devastated because of the closure of the mall, but then to see and not even know about it, like that must have been a sad day for the president, if it was whoever it was at that time. I'm not sure if it was Judy, but
Yeah.
I'd like to see that wrong repaired. But if the 15th is too quick, Eileen. we
Yeah,
can go
I was
into-
just gonna
yeah.
say, there's quite a few things I have going on the go that I'm trying to bring back
Sorry.
to council. Like I haven't even been able, I'll be real, like I haven't even been able to look at the coyote thing that I'm supposed to bring back. So can we, like, I'm gone in June for the first 2 weeks too. I'll try for the 15th. And if I can't do the 15th, then it'll be the second meeting in June.
Yeah, I would even say, because we're going to be going into, looking at budget, and that, like, I'm okay if it's July, if it's our meeting in July.
yeah,
I'm okay with that. Okay,
That works. better
like
for
it's,
me.
yeah, like let's, and then that way there's more time, the season will wrap up, we can actually, and then we can have a fuller discussion. Hopefully we don't have too many things going on in July this year.
It's just the one meeting in July and
Yeah.
August, so that should be, it kind of gets better after June, so
Okay,
thank you.
Okay, moving on, council. We have the tender award for 6.2. If I can get a mover and a seconder, and then we'll open up the floor for discussion. Moved by Councilor Peter
Oh,
Kister. Oh, sorry, what am I missing? Oh, the deputation. Sorry, I gotta do the acknowledgement of presentation. Mover and a seconder for that, please. Moved by Councilor Peter Kissinger, second by Councilor Belinda Kissinger. Be it resolved that council does hereby receive the C&B Paul Curling Club presentation as information. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, moving on to 6.2 tender awards. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councilor Peter Kistemaker, second by Councilor Ted Sheneman. Whereas the Township of Hornepayne issued request for proposals RFP number 2023-1130, engineering services ball field on November 30th, 2023. And whereas the Township of Hornepayne received one proposal submission from C. Villeneuve Construction Company Limited with two options. Option one for a smaller size softball field at $385,375 plus $50,098.35 HST, or option number two for a larger baseball sized field at $580,725 plus $75,494.25 HST. And therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby accept the tender submission from C. Villeneuve Construction Company Limited in the amount of $385,375 plus $50,098.75 HST for engineering services for option one, a smaller softball sized field, and authorizes the CAO clerk to notify the proponent and prepare a service agreement for the signature in order for the project to proceed. Okay, I open up the floor for discussion on this topic. And was there any follow-up that you were doing on this item?
I haven't done any
Okay.
follow-up.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Go ahead, Councilor.
I'd like to see if it's possible, we can push this back a little bit, because there was a fella, one of the foresters at the mill got in touch with the highway construction crew, and there's gonna be a possible 400 loads of fill that we can get, that they'd be willing to drop for, I believe it's almost nothing. We might be able to get some bulldozer work, but we'd have to iron out that's providing it goes through all the testing, third-party testing and all that stuff. But I just didn't know if we can if we award anything right now, we won't be able to pursue that other option.
Okay, were they, in that testing, were they saying they would test it?
Yeah, it's all third-party tested. They have to when they go to take stuff out.
Oh, okay,
It
so
has to be tested and
it would come
deemed,
to us tested.
tested from a third party, yes.
Oh, okay.
And then what they did with the mill and private homeowners around town last year was, after it was tested, you get a certificate or whatever it is in writing that they did pass testing. And they had the bulldozer there to level it all up and all that, but I'm sure it's not, Dwayne might be laughing at me inside right now, because there's probably all kinds of things I'm missing in there, with the engineering or the weep and tile or whatever has to be put in place. But I'm just saying that with, when you met with Villeneuve earlier this year, or in the fall time, there was a big cost savings possibly from the Third Ave project. And I know our public works manager mentioned that he kind of wanted to keep the stuff to fill that was going to be taken out of the Third Ave for stuff, other jobs around town, like filling in basements or building up the road beds, the shoulders and whatnot. So if it works out, that might be a win-win situation for everybody.
Right. Okay, regardless of this project, we can get that fill. Do we have space to take that fill if it's tested? Through you to the public works manager?
It's gonna go behind the ring if you bring it. It's gonna where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
And I know the pavement, the big pile of used pavement, Dwayne's mentioned that we need that for when we hot box that, but there's lots of other stuff like possible. I don't have the email in front of me, but Belinda, maybe you can remember the number of loads of pavement, used pavement that's gonna be coming too.
Okay, this is,
So-
okay.
It's gonna be beneficial if it'll work. And this is only what they have right now, that they know what's coming, and they're very community oriented. They're, they would, from the sound of it, they wanna help.
Okay, I met Trevor White
Right, yeah.
on the weekend, and we had a discussion about that as well, about the loads and and then I was forwarded an email that had some information in it. And I talked to Eileen about it, just to give the contacts, and you had Stephen Gardonio,
Cardonio.
and Trevor White's contact. Did you have?
I have
Trevor's?
Steve, I have
You have
Steve's, I don't
Okay.
have Trevor's.
I'll forward you Trevor's. I'm more, interested in that, cause I don't think we needed 400 loads
No,
for the
but
ball field.
not, I think, believe it was 150, right, Dwayne? Give or take. I think it's one of those things that, because I don't know if they went and actually surveyed, and there's probably gonna be a lot of, you're gonna have contingencies in place, but it was in the upwards to the amount of 400, doesn't mean we take 400. It's one of those deals where you don't have to take it all, but you can take quite a bit.
Okay, and are we paying for the loads?
If, now, I'm not gonna speak out of turn, but if my understanding is correct, because the mill got some, and individuals got, private homeowners got lots last year, there was nothing paid. Because they have to pay to get rid of it, so they are saving money, we're doing them a favor, and they're doing us a favor.
Okay,
Because the rules have changed, when they change road beds and whatnot, they're not allowed to reuse whatever they're taking out, and it has to be dumped after being tested from a third party.
okay.
So like our due diligence will be, I believe will be done if it's tested from a third party. I don't know what else you could do.
It's also registered. Everything's registered.
Okay, Ted Shannon, Councilor Shannon?
And thank you. So I think what you're saying is that if there was a surplus, we would be wise if we had a place to be able to store it, to be able to have clean, tested soil on hand. Would that make sense to Dwayne, if there was a place to be able to do that?
Go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, we have a little limited space at our compound, so we have, there was a pile there before I've used it all up.
Okay, and do we have any other space available in our town where we could store it? Go ahead.
Through you, Madam Mayor, could we use the space behind the bell tower, like up there, pile it there, or would it not be beneficial to do that?
Arena property, put it there, we can put probably the landfill, like this is possible, probably, depending what the MECP allows us to do with landfill, we may not build a pile there.
So another question is, if it's one of those deals where you either take it all or nothing, do we have room somewhere that we can put 200 plus load, 200 some loads? But these are all questions that we can forward to Steve Gardino and Todd, a sit-down discussion like that. The mill that we all sat down with that fella, and he just gave us the breakdown of it, and it was very beneficial. I think that would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a very outgoing, wants to please everybody, and they are very community oriented.
Well, I'm just thinking if it's road structure fill, where my mind is going is it stuff that we can either mix or use in the future for Becker Road? Like we need to build that up, and
Yeah.
you've got already an aggregate that can be mixed, then you can, like, we can make our money go a lot further.
Right.
Go ahead, Dwayne.
Do have another 350 feet behind, we can see the arena is our property too. So if 700 feet behind the arena, that whole hill that drops off, keep on going back.
There you
Okay, go ahead, Peter.
go. Through you, Madam Mayor. So Dwayne, would there be, am I right in saying, like, obviously you gotta get rid of the pavement because there's just gonna be holes in them to be settling, so there's a lot of work to be done, but the weed battalion, all that would have to be put in place as well?
Be into Vilna's part of the contract, they have to have certain levels of so much certain gravel, this
Right.
would be your distance fill you guys are talking about. On top of that would be whatever their aggregate's gonna be.
Absolutely, yeah, that we got automatically have to, I'm just thinking of the $150,000 possible savings that Mario was talking about from Villeneuve there, that we're gonna get, because I know you mentioned you had a concern about that, of using it for other things in town, so.
Definitely need it around town for sure, definitely, my whole pile's been expunged, I have nothing left in our yard at all.
Okay.
I still have 3 more buildings, plus the ones coming up that are gonna come down.
Yep.
So I need something to backfill those yards with, and I don't wanna use a gravel at $60-some.
No.
I prefer to have used fill.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm wondering, just because Villeneuve at the time was so, they seemed like they were willing to work with us about the loads. I'm wondering if we can pass the resolution. Sorry, Eileen, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, we have to pass the resolution with the actual number that we're accepting. So if council wants me to go back to FACA and Villeneuve, then the latest this can come back to council is April 3rd, because we've already extended it now till April 15th. So it's already been extended, right? Till
Okay,
the 15th, and you got one more meeting to bring it back and accept it.
okay, let's see what we can, because there's a couple of things that have to be figured out. Are we gonna get the gravel in time or the fill in time for it to be used for this purpose. It sounds like we need the fill regardless. And, we need to know where we're gonna store this fill to accommodate. And is it something that, cause you had mentioned about possibly a backhoe spreading it out, is that part of the,
They have had, like, at the mill and around town, they put a small bulldozer in place and with their own operator to put it to where we wanted it, the grade that we want and whatnot, so.
okay, so we need to find
But I
out
think
that,
that-
like, if that could be possible.
Yeah, and that
then
being
there-
said, they would obviously have to work in conjunction with, this would all have to be arranged with Villeneuve, so you're not putting the cart ahead of the horse, it has to go in certain orders. It's like Dwayne was saying, you gotta put certain, you gotta fill it up, bring it up to grade, and then there's all the different, different materials on top of that.
Okay,
So it would have to be a coordination between probably 3 different parties, between Dwayne, Villeneuve, and FACA possibly.
okay. And when were they looking at actually starting the project, Eileen?
I don't recall the timeline, but they would probably start it not like as soon as they can, right? As soon as they get approval. I don't see why they couldn't do it this year.
Okay, okay. But, I guess another question would be, is it something, like, I don't know the whole timeline for the project. Is it something that we can shift so that they start in July and end at the end of the year and we have that time to get the fill work done? Like those types of questions?
Well, if we, like, it would have to start when we get the fill, right? Because if we're saying that we're, like, I would assume it would only start once they get the fill, right? And I don't know how long that process, like, you can't really move forward without the fill, so it would start,
That's the first
it
step.
would start after that, so I don't know when that's gonna be, cause I haven't had those conversations with FACA, so, or Villeneuve.
Okay, so do we wanna, bring this back to the third, see if we can get more information before we move forward? I think we all wanna move forward, but we're trying to save as much money as we possibly
And
can.
make it possible.
I am in favor though of if it's tested fill and we can get it for the municipality and it's usable for our municipality, I think that we should go for that as long as it's not creating an environmental concern and it's tested. Am I missing something here in this?
So maybe I can elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
The main concern was basically, if I read the reports correctly, it's the salt that's in the thing. So out with the mill, we could use it on our roadways.
Okay,
Okay, it's good for that. Where I know the Hornepayne Power, they had other issues where they couldn't take it. So it is something that has to be worked. When you're talking about the roads, it's for sure you can use that. So, and the other thing too, they're working at different areas, like they're working at Nagogamy Bridge and they're working at Hornepayne Creek. So that's very close to here. So, you know, it's a big advantage for us to get that.
okay, okay. So then, on their testing then, so you know
When,
where it could be utilized, and it gives you a
when they
list of
did,
what.
when they brought the stuff to the mill, I had to register with the government in
Okay.
order for it to come.
Okay,
So I'm sure we'll have to do the same thing.
go ahead.
How long did it take for you to register?
Oh, not, it was just,
Well, like, did you register and then they allowed you use of it right away, or did you have to wait?
yeah, we didn't have to wait for anything. It
Okay.
was,
Yeah, once you had your third-party testing
Yeah.
results, you entered it and you were good.
so.
Okay.
And Steve, he's very good at explaining the process, so I.
Okay, Belinda, can you get the contacts for who you called in the testing, where you did that, to Eileen?
He will,
Or
when
Steve will
you're
do that?
talking to him, he'll send all that information to you at the same
Oh,
time.
okay, great. Okay, so is there any more information that you need from us tonight,
So
Eileen?
I'm just gonna get clarification.
Yes.
Council wants me to talk to FACA and Villeneuve and essentially figure out the process in getting Bill, and I need to make sure that it's tested, because otherwise, I know something that I learned from Gail was that you guys never took Phil. It was just something that like was passed down, and I think it's because it's the testing procedure and there's liabilities, because if anything environmentally happens, like that CAO is still held responsible like 20 years later if there's any issues. So I will do a rigorous process in figuring out the testing, because we need to make sure, and to make sure that the fill can be used for the baseball field essentially. But I'll reach out to FACA and Villeneuve and just figure out the fill situation, what it can be used for, what the testing process is, and essentially if it can be used for the baseball field. And then I'll bring that information back to council at the April 3rd meeting. And essentially how much we would save if we were to get whatever amount we were gonna get from FACA. How much we would save with Villeneuve, because I don't recall, we might have had a discussion, but I don't recall them giving me concrete numbers. Like me and Richard might have had a discussion verbally, but I don't believe that Villeneuve gave me like a concrete number in their breakdown. If we were to do our own fill, how much would that save the township, if that makes sense?
Okay, okay. And then the other thing too is if we have leeway, if we're able to take the fill, can the project be started a little bit later in the season to ensure, like, can we project manage that a little bit between the two companies?
Yeah, I think that Villeneuve is very flexible, like they're essentially ready to start whenever we're good to go, but I can ask that and
Yeah,
confirm.
I just like to have confirmation of it, because then they might be thinking, oh, it's good to go, and they're here and we have no fill there yet.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything else that from council that you think you need to know before our next meeting? Eileen, is there anything else? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Dwayne, do you have anything else you'd like to add for this? Okay, thanks.
Okay, I guess one question I have is for Dwayne through you. Do we have, like, would we assist in spreading this fill out if they were up there?
So we don't have the right equipment for that.
Okay.
We need a bulldozer.
A bulldozer? Okay. Is there any contractor in town that has that type of equipment without having to float it in?
Not sure. Does Bryce want I'm not positive.
Okay,
Can rent one, do a small one, or I had pricing last time on that, but we'd always rent the small bulldozer, do it ourselves.
okay, well, we have to balance that out between staff time, the cost of that, and then if it's just easier to, if staff can do it while they're unloading it, that sort of thing. Okay. Okay, this discussion's closed then until the beginning of April. Any last comments? None? Okay, let's
Thank you.
move on. Actually, we have to, put, so it's a deferred resolution I need now, right? Jen, do you have one handy?
Positive, but I mean, I can say it off the top of my head if you want.
Yeah, that would be great. If I can get a mover and a seconder to defer item 6.2, moved by Councillor Ted Sheneman, second by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker.
Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby defer item number 6.2, tender award engineering services baseball field to the next available council meeting.
Okay, thank you. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, moving on. 7.1, correspondence action items. Okay, we have an email from C. Craig. So Eileen and I in our agenda meeting, and I apologize, I have these braces on the bottom and sometimes I feel like I can't even talk. We had a discussion. Some of the discussion items we had was looking at including some equipment with ice rental surfaces. Looking at possibly, I had suggested possibly 5 tables and 40 chairs. Just thinking if we were renting it for a birthday party, that would be included. And I came up with the 5 tables because we have 5 change rooms and the chairs 8 per table. And possibly looking at giving a refund if they actually paid for the tables and chairs. Were you able to find out if they did or not?
There actually wasn't anything rented from the township, so there's no refund to be given. They use their own tables and chairs.
Okay. So, and my recommendation on this is we have some other items that have to come back to our comprehensive user fee. I don't want it opening everything that we have. We were looking at Eileen's delegation of authority, and she does have the delegation for up to $1,000 to waive fees. I don't know if you have it in front of you to read that part or not, but And I'm satisfied to move forward that way for now until we bring this back to the, council table to update the bylaw.
So
Go ahead.
I just would like some direction from council, because if that's the case, like, I could be waiving like everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, you know, I would say in the last 6 months, there have been more requests to the township for donations and sponsors. It's within my authority to do it, but does council want me to be approving every single one?
No, I was thinking more just in this, like, if we have consensus of council that we want to include some tables and chairs with the ice surface rental, then, that amount is fixed, and then once we do our comprehensive user fee updates, we can adjust it then, because I'm not sure, you never told me what the other ones were that we have already on the list that we have to update in the user fee.
I can't
Yeah,
remember off,
like
like,
it
there's a
has to
few
come
that have to come back again. And again, that's just another thing that I haven't been able to get to, so. Okay, so is it just tables and chairs when it comes to like ice rentals, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I just would like a little bit of clarification from
For
council.
sure. Go ahead, Peter.
I think, my own perspective on it is I always had an issue with, and it goes back to curling club, the weight room, everybody. They're non-profit volunteering to put the money back into the community. It's just where we gotta draw the line is where it costs us money to bring them all over. But if they're right in the arena and whatnot, I think common sense would tell you that it's not costing us anything extra. And if it's helping them raise money, that's gonna go right back to the coffers, or to the township. I think it's a good idea that we can try to help them out.
Mhm, mhm.
Like, just, you know, it gives you a little bit going forward, and then we can reissue or relook at the, when it comes time to update them. the bylaws.
Yeah, because I think there should be, for when you're renting the ice surface, when it has ice, because you're renting it, usually it's a family or a group of families, and they need some tables and chairs. And then, or it's like this, it's a hockey tournament, and you need a few tables and chairs, or it's a birthday party. I am not talking about someone in the summer putting on a huge do and there's no ice on the surface, and you're renting all the tables, or you're filling up, like, that's a whole, I think there's a lot more, people power to get that set up, like, it needs to be discussed more fully. I'm just talking about a small amount that comes with your arena ice surface when it's actually an ice. Go ahead.
When you say all that, the key things in that letter was, when they talk about renting the hall, like at the Legion, the tables and chairs are included. When you're renting the surface, if there's tables and chairs there, it should be part of it. They shouldn't even have to think about it. It's part of it.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, the treasurer has
Yeah,
something
go
to add.
ahead.
When you rent the hall at the Legion, they do provide the tables and chairs, but you have to pay extra for staff to set them up.
Okay.
And sorry, I was just gonna mention, the Legion also charges more for their rental fee overall, so I think they can recoup the costs that way, whereas we don't charge as much. I think it's 250 at the Legion, and ours is like 117 maybe, if I'm not mistaken, so.
Okay, go ahead.
I think the key thing to what Melissa just said was service. If you're asking for service, then that's a different thing.
Yes.
If you're not asking for service, it should be part of the package.
Okay, like if you're gonna set it all up yourself and that sort of thing, and you have
Yeah.
your insurance to run your due or what have you?
I think it's two different things.
Okay, well, that's definitely a way to look at it, because then they have the option, right? You pay the fee and we'll set it up for you.
I don't know. It's just another way to look at it.
And do we don't have any type of fee structure currently we do for some things, because we moved that sign. We put that in the user
Yeah.
fees, like there is some labor costs that we have built in already, right? Do we have that for the tables and chairs at all?
I don't think so.
No?
No.
Okay. Go
So
ahead.
just to clarify then, if this is what council would like, just when it comes to waiving fees for me under my delegation of authority, I'll waive the fees if there's some kind of rental involved, like with the ice surface. Right, that clear, or I guess arena surface, because in the summer you can rent out for other things. And if there's tables and chairs requested, then I can rent, as long as it's not over 1,000, I would waive that.
Yeah, but for probably this, the past weekend's perfect example, like all the money that's raised is going towards the baseball field. You know, minor hockey, money goes back, like anything kind of a so yeah, I would totally agree with that.
Okay, but if it's all like the whole surface is like all tables and chairs, I don't even know what's up there for tables and chairs, so I don't know what it would cost to put that up. Like,
I don't think that's what they're looking at though. I think you're
no,
looking at
I'm
Jeremy,
looking at the
seasons.
smaller
Yeah.
amount, yeah. Yeah, I'm good with this, a smaller amount. I think it would, if it got to, like you said, over 1,000, or it seemed like a very odd request, like in the sense like it's all of our equipment, then yeah, we have to bring it back and find out. Does that help?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so did we address everything in the letter? I think those were basically the asks, right? And we have nothing to refund because there was no rental made. Am I missing anything, council? Okay. Okay, if there's nothing further on that topic, and move on a seconder to receive the item, please. Moved by Councillor Peter Kisser, second by Councillor Chinman. Be it resolved that council does hereby receive item number 7.1, C. Craig rentals as information. Those in favor? And that is carried. And just one final question on that. I guess we do a follow-up letter to the resident, just with what was discussed at council.
I believe I mentioned to Cindy that it would go on there, so I'll just follow up with her and just let her know what council's decision was.
Okay, great. Okay, item number 7.2, North NOMA's Independent Electricity System Operator. So we have a bit of a video to watch. Are you able to?
Oh. Totally forgot about that.
That's all right. I'll just speak to it while we're getting this up. So I attended a webinar back, and Eileen, you were there as well, was the webinar?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we attended a webinar back, I believe it was in January, end of January. The recording was sent out to all of council through email. You got all of that information. Basically what they're looking at is the IESO is entering into what they call an LT2 phase. And it's for energy consumption on 4 groups, or energy storage or production. One is storage, wind, solar, and I cannot remember the last one. It's not hydrogen, and it's not small modular nuclear. It's not that. It's something else that's renewable. It might be biomass, if that would make sense. But anyway, there's proponents that go after the LT2 application have to have the support of the municipality first.
What should
If
a
they do not
municipality
have the
consider?
support, they cannot move
And that
forward.
will depend
So
on the type
this
of
was,
generation.
The
What will the
application
community
process for
reaction
the
be to
LT2
biomass,
closes
solar,
next
wind,
summer.
hydroelectric?
And basically
or
it was
pump
just to
storage?
get it on the table.
There is
that
the
we're
potential
supportive.
in advance
We're
of
willing.
approving
I
any
know I
resolution?
had a couple of conversations with Gilles. They aren't even really looking at this time at applying, but they would definitely be into storage was one of the items that he had talked about. And, but I just wanted to make sure that we were ahead of the game, because this is, they're looking at putting 3,000 megawatts onto the grid. And it's, sorry, I'm gonna get these numbers wrong. But this first portion closes in 2030, and then the next two the LT2 or LT3 and LT4 close 2 years consecutive after that. Those are different projects coming. So, and we do have a portion, because it was a partnership webinar between IESO, NOMA, and the other Common Voice Northwest. And I'm not playing you the whole video. I found the portion where Mr. Angus is talking about the role of municipalities, and it should only be maybe, I think, 4 or 5 minutes.
I think the sound works.
Okay,
How are you?
and it doesn't have.
I will.
Okay, all right, so go to the next slide. So picking up on the final comments from the ISO staff, this round requires that before a proponent submits their proposal to the ISO, they have to get a resolution in writing from the municipality where they are planning on placing their facility. And that means within the municipal boundaries. Common Voice has requested that a proximity component be included, and we haven't heard back from the ISO on that, because in some cases, the proponent may want to put it on the outside of your municipal boundaries, but all the impacts are within the boundaries. And the reason for this process is that IESO has learned that if they wait until they have approved the project and then it goes to the municipality, that some municipalities don't want it. And it's created all sorts of technical and political issues. And I gather I'm still muffled, so let me try something else. Does that work any better?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, all right. So next slide, please. So I put the question to the ISO a while back in terms of, is there any priority location? And the answer was no. The new generation can be anywhere along the Ontario electrical grid. But there's also opportunities for local expansion of capacity as well. And if you think of the Northwest, we've got 3 major radial lines that are either at their capacity or under capacity or in danger of collapsing. I'm thinking of Red Lake, Ear Falls, I'm thinking of Sioux Lookout, and I'm thinking of Greenstone, where there would be opportunities to add local capacity to meet the demands of the mining communities or the growth in the communities such as Greenstone because of the mines. Next slide, please. The cabinet, through the Minister of Energy, issued a directive on the LT2. And basically, while it says recognizing transmission constraints that restricted much of Northern Ontario from participating in the first long-term RFPs, capacity procurement, these constraints generally do not apply to the LT2 as the reliability need is different. I expect that prospective projects in Northern Ontario will be able to participate in the LT2 RFP and future procurements subject to deliverability considerations. I ask that the ISO work with my ministry and MNRF to explore the possibility of the LT2 RFP awarding additional consideration to energy projects located in Northern Ontario. That certainly is a welcome directive. Next slide, please. To give you one example of what the implications could be, the Bioenergy Center that is being built to serve Armstrong, Collins, and White Sand First Nation is a 6.5 megawatt generator. It's going to create 40 mill jobs and 80 jobs elsewhere, basically within the forest. And that's a $35 million project. So that gives you an idea of the magnitude, because likely any biomass generation in the Northwest for our communities would be much greater than the 6.5 megawatts here. So the job implications are significant. So next slide. The key thing to learn about the resolution is what it doesn't mean, because in a Q&A that ISO held a while back, significant number of the questions were about the implications to the municipality. So here's what it doesn't mean. passing a resolution supporting a proposal does not mean that you automatically approve the sale of land, nor a rezoning, nor the approval of servicing agreements or infrastructure improvements. Next slide. It doesn't mean there's an avoidance of public engagement by the proponent or by the municipality. It certainly does not mean that they don't have to do an environmental assessment. And it doesn't mean that they have to, or they get to avoid any other provincial, federal, or municipal mandatory review or permits. So basically, it's a resolution of approval in principle to say, yeah, we're interested. Please don't qualify it because from what I remember, the discussion with the IESO, that might likely negate their application. Next slide, please. Here's what it does mean. A resolution means that council can say that the project is welcome in their community, or the converse, the chance for council to say, no, thanks, we're not interested. We don't want it within our boundaries. Next slide, please. So what should a municipality consider? And that will depend on the type of generation. What will the community reaction be to biomass, solar, wind, hydroelectric, or pump storage? There is the potential in advance of approving any resolution for council to hold a public meeting to test the waters. Next slide, please. So in biomass, many of our communities have a history with the forests. We all live in the boreal forest. We all have harvesters who live in our communities. So some of us have had major and minor forest processing facilities that have disappeared. So communities that have that history may not have a problem with a wood-fueled biomass facility. Next slide, please. Solar, size and location of the project may influence community reaction. If it's a large empty field, no problem. If it's a forested area, there might be some concern. So you need to gauge what the potential reaction will be from the community. Next slide. Wind, size and location of project may influence community reaction. And a number of projects across Ontario have been opposed by citizens for a variety of reasons. Noise, view, environment. Next slide. And one that's close to my, if not heart, my butt, Thunder Bay City Council, when I was on it, we approved in principle the construction of a series of wind towers on the Northwestern mountain range. At the time we approved it, we were assured that the towers would not be seen by anybody, at least not anybody from the city of Thunder Bay. And lo and behold, they found that those locations weren't good enough for wind, and so they moved it to where everybody could see, and that created a real outcry from a large geographic area of the community. And eventually, because of the opposition, the province killed the project. So be careful. Next slide. So hydroelectric. Now, there's probably very few municipalities that have enough moving water within the municipal boundaries to consider this, although Greenstone may be different because it's such a large municipality. But you need to know there's few operating jobs. Most of these dams are handled remotely. There'll be an impact on fishery, potential impact on recreation and tourism, and there'll be water level regulations involved. Next slide. Pump storage, it's going to depend on the location, depends on the impact on the environment, potential implications for area First Nations. There's two projects, one in Atikokan, one in the Scriber area. The Atikokan one is tied up with regards to the rehabilitation of the two former mine sites. The one in Scriber, I understand, the location they picked is considered a heritage site by area First Nations. So again, you have to be careful in terms of knowing where the project is going to be before you could give consideration to a resolution. Next slide.
So here are some of the things you need to consider, both in a positive and negative. How many construction jobs? How many operating jobs? Do you have enough of a local or nearby workforce to meet either the construction or the operating needs? Next slide. What about hotel rooms? Do you have enough to look after the transient construction workers, either locally or close by? Or will there be a need for a bunkhouse component for the construction workers? Next slide. Is there enough existing community infrastructure to accommodate the operating workforce? Housing, schools, childcare, physicians, and other healthcare services. Next slide. Do you have enough construction-ready building lots to meet the demand of the incoming workforce, the operating workforce? Or does your official plan enable you to quickly develop new residential subdivisions to meet the influx? Next slide. And what are the policing requirements around the bunkhouse operation for the construction workforce? You know, we hear horror stories about trafficking of women, of drugs, and what have you. That has implications both in terms of policing, but also in terms of community safety. Next slide. And is there any cost to the municipality? Do you have to build a road, run some sewers? You know, what are the implications in that sense? Next slide. My recommendation to municipalities is that before you're approached, you need to start the planning process to figure out what you would do if you are approached. Decide who's the lead. Is it the clerk treasurer? Is it a bylaw enforcement officer? Is it a planner? And as well, identify the key issues that you need to have a handle on before somebody knocks on your door. Next slide. On the flip side, many of you may say right off the bat, before you're approached, I think this will be good for our community. So you need to start thinking about how you market your community with why a entrepreneur should consider building some kind of generation facility within your municipal boundaries, and then go out and start marketing it, because this is a generator of jobs, a generator of income.
Okay. So I wanted to give that overview of what's happening, and I did find the actual numbers for the LT2 within the documents of the package that you received. And that it is wind, hydrogen, or not hydrogen, hydro, biomass, solar, and storage. And the long-term procurement targets are till 2031, they're looking at adding 2,000. 2032, they want to add another 1,500, and 2034, another 1,500. My only thoughts on this, I am not looking at marketing our town. That's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at more that we are willing and open to entertain if someone wants to have a space in Northern Ontario. If they want to, we do have Becker Road that could be a viable place for an industry, but I'm not looking at being a community that's going out actively recruiting. I would rather us be a community we'd like to be involved. We might be a suitable place for someone that's more proactive. That's where my thoughts are. I don't think it would be of our benefit to actively put resources and that sort of thing in this process, but I do think it would be beneficial with what's going to be happening in Northern Ontario with the expansion of the grid to show that we were open to being a host community to one of these type of energy types. That's my thinking on it. So I open the floor up for discussion with council. Go ahead, Linda.
I would definitely go that route, not, yeah, I would like to market, but not be part of anything like going forward. Like just say exactly what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the way to go.
Yeah. Well, it shows that our doors are open, but we're not the one actively trying to find a proponent or anything like that. But if there are if this does generate quite a stir or attention and they can't find a place, then we're on the map that we'd be willing to.
And again, it would be going towards what the cogen's trying to do anyway. So
Right.
We would be backing them up.
Yeah, in support of them. And they are outside our municipality, so it would be like an inside portion. Ted, did you have a comment?
No, I agree with you.
Okay. Okay, so if we're in agreement with that, we can get a motion brought back. That's basically, it's that in-principle motion of supporting an LT2 process within our community. And that, and I'm sure that we can reach out to Common Voice and Ian Angus to get what that in-principle resolution looks like. So it's like what he's saying, it's not holding us to anything, it's just showing that we're open to a proponent. Okay, so before we do that, we'll pass the resolution for information as information. Moved by Councillor Peter Kistemaker, second by Councillor Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that council does hereby receive item number 7.2 Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association NOMA Common Voice Northwest CVNW Independent Electricity System Operator IESO as information. Those in favor? Okay. And Eileen, do you need any more information for the motion to come back? No. No? Okay. I think you have all the contacts for Ian Angus and everything as well. Yeah, okay. Okay, moving on to 7.3, Ministry of Natural Resources, Crown Land. If I can get a mover and a seconder, we'll open up the motion on the floor and then we can continue. Moved by Councillor Ted Shana, second by Councillor Peter Kistemaker. Be it resolved that council does hereby receive item number 7.3, Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry, MNRF, Crown Land Disposition in Northern Municipalities as information. Okay, I sent this came to me in the mail and I emailed and I forwarded it to Eileen. Because there's an opportunity, it seems like they've changed the process. From the letter, it seems like it would be an easier process to get Crown Land. What spurred me to forward this was that when we were in the discussions for the forest management 10-year plan, back, if you remember, that was back in 2020, there was talk about the backside of Cedar Point, putting a road there that would cross government road, and then possibly using agricultural land in that area. And I'm not sure what, like if there's gonna be a cost or if they're going to help us get lands, but I thought it's worth us at least investigating what the process is and putting, I don't know if it's putting our name in the queue that we wanna do this in the future or what have you. And just from the, just thinking about the items that came to mind when I saw it was, I don't know what areas around our airport that we own, like do we own the tree line? These are things that we should investigate. If we don't own that tree line that we're maintaining, then we should go after those lands. Like what would make it easier for us as a municipality to maintain our municipality? There's less, if we own the land, then we don't have to go through the Crown to get permission to clear. We just go, we make sure we're following the right environmental regs, and then we can go ahead with that work. So that was my thinking on it, was that is there places within our municipality that are not owned by us, but yet we have regulations to them. The other one that I'm not sure would be the areas surrounding our landfill. Do we want to encompass some of that by thinking of our sludge pits? Is there anything in there? I don't know what we own now or where the boundaries are at, but I do think there's an opportunity to possibly look at it at least. And that's why it's on the agenda. Any questions from council?
I'm good.
Totally agreed.
I think I just want to read my note to make sure I captured everything. Yeah, so it was the area, I just want to highlight the area around Cedar Point Park, because that was also, there was a few years ago now that a group of people in our community tried to go ahead to develop that. They had a plan, and I wasn't on council when that came to council, but I did hear about it, and it sounded like a really good venture. And I'm just wondering, that's a question I have for the MNRF, is if we own the land, if it becomes town property, is it easier for us then to develop it?
Mhm.
Because then we're not working with federal and provincial, like I would imagine that it's less red tape, but I don't know. The other area that I thought of too, that I don't know, is we've talked about putting, now that we're doing rebranding, we've talked about putting the new municipal welcome signs on each end of our highways. This was another thought I had, was is it better for us to own where those signs would be placed? We pick and choose. Is it better for us to own them than paying an annual fee to have a sign there? So, that was one other thought I had, and the other one was the center of Ontario. The entranceway in that area, there's lots of questions here about things that we want to develop in our community. I don't think it's gonna happen overnight. I think it's more, first of all, investigating the process and starting a conversation and ensuring that the minister knows that or the MNRF knows that we do have some future plans. So any comments? Okay, I'm wondering too, Eileen, so that we're not overwhelming staff with this type of work, if this is something we can reach out to NOMA and Phenom about and see if they've looked into this and know more about it.
Sure, I
Yeah.
can reach out to them.
And then we try and spread,
So sorry, just to get clarification, are you just wanting information from NOMA and Phenom on whether they have any further information on the process, or if anybody, that any municipality that they know of has done, like,
that would be great, actually, if you had other municipal contacts that were already going after Crown Land. That's a great idea. I'm trying to lessen the load, like if some other municipalities are already doing that, let's get on board with them. Yeah, go ahead, Lorna.
Being part of the Thunder Bay District Board, it's a major conversation.
Oh, it
So,
is?
Yes,
Okay, so even maybe Nikita at Thunder Bay
yeah.
District Municipal.
How far are they gone here or whatever?
Yeah.
It is a topic.
It's just, I think the window of opportunity may close. I'm not sure. Maybe it's rejuvenated for time memorial, hopefully. But we can go with there and see with what we can come up with. And I'm not sure. Go ahead.
The Ministry Road at the end of Third Avenue here, is that Crown Land as well?
I'm not sure. The M&R Road.
It's not?
Privately owned on either side of the Ministry Road.
Okay.
And do we own Ministry? Do we own the M&R Road? So then it's Crown Land with private partners on each
On
side?
both sides, it's private, so I actually don't know about the road period, but the land on either side of the road and part of the road on the left-hand side is privately owned, private owned.
And your cousin owns that.
Well, yeah, but I'm mainly talking about where the ministry used to be, that we always talked about developing.
That's MNR.
The M&R building.
Yeah.
Is that Crown Land?
It'd be M&RF owns it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Provincial.
it'd be under their ministry, yeah. My understanding is that Crown Land would be federal, and that there's a process now with the provincial government that's gonna help us get Crown Land.
Yes.
Yeah.
That part I understood.
Yeah,
It was just
so the M&R building would be already provincial land, or the old M&R building. But that's definitely something to investigate, is that M&R road. Because that's a direct access, safety access road that we've been maintaining, like we should. Yeah. Okay, I put the motion to a vote to receive this information. Those in favor? And that's carried. Okay, moving on to 7.4, Ontario Clean Water Agency. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Peter Kissmaker, second by Councillor Ted Shana. Be it resolved that council does hereby acknowledge receipt of the 2023 Section 11 Annual Report and the 2023 Schedule 22 Annual Summary Report for the Township of Hornepayne Drinking Water System as prepared by Ontario Clean Water Agency, ACWA. Any discussion on that report? There being none, I put that to vote. Those in favor? And that is carried. Item number 7.5 is the Pension Limited Hornepayne Sewage Sludge Disposal Site. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Peter Kissmaker, second by Councillor Ted Shenman. Be it resolved that council does hereby acknowledge receipt of the design and operation plan update for the Hornepayne Sewage Sludge Disposal Site as prepared by Pension Limited. Any comments or questions on that report? There being none, I put that to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, we're moving on to correspondence information only. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Peter Kissmaker, second by Councillor Ted Shannon. Be it resolved that Council of Corporation Township of Hornepayne does hereby acknowledge receipt of the correspondence information only package attached to the agenda of the regular meeting of council on Wednesday, March 20th, 2024. And I know, Eileen, you wanted to speak to a couple of items. Here, the floor is yours.
I just wanted to bring to council's attention 8.3. That's just an update on the township not receiving the housing accelerator fund or not getting that funding. There's the PHU merger community update, which is 8.4, and we had discussed it at the last meeting, but for 8.5, those are just the speaking notes and the petition that is up at the front counter at the township office, should anybody want to sign that petition.
Okay, thank you, Eileen. And I just wanted to highlight that I did ask Eileen to forward 8.3 to the Hornepayne Housing Corporation so that they'd be made aware. And 8.11, I just wanted to highlight there too, that when you click the link and you click here, the first item on the docket is Hornepayne Power. So, and that's all that I wanted to highlight. Any other highlights or questions or comments? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, the treasurer has a comment.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
just want to provide some more information to council for 8.3 that the CAO, EDO, and I met with the CMHC advisor following the announcement that we didn't get it, and they said that it's just too many applications and not enough funding. It was a real competitive process, so that's the only reason why we got tonight.
Oh, okay. And thank you for doing the follow-up meeting. I appreciate that. So that's good. Yeah. Keep those lines of communication open. At some point, they're gonna say yes, right? Thank you for that. Okay, any further comments or? There being none, I put the information package to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, moving on to item 9.1, committee and board meeting updates. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Ted Shenman, second by Councillor Peter Kissmaker. Be it resolved that council of the corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby acknowledge receipt of the committee and board meeting minutes and reports attached to the agenda of the regular meeting of council held on Wednesday, March 20th, 2024. Do we have any question or comments on the Hornepayne housing? And then we have the Northeast Superior Marriage Group. I think we do have quite a discussion about the NOMA, but there's certain resolutions they're looking at to bring back.
Yeah, and I can add to that.
Yeah, go ahead, Eileen.
So there's 8 attachments. NOMA asked for this to go onto an agenda for council's review. The 8 attachments that are there include 1 letter of support, 4 supporting resolutions, and 3 attachments regarding natural gas. So I can advise council that we've already passed the conservation officer reclassification resolution on December 6th. We've done the AMO social and economic prosperity review support resolution just in February, and I think those are the 2 that we've done, and the 3 that we haven't passed yet is the natural gas resolution, the international bridge between Fort Frances and International Falls resolution, and the Northern Ontario Transportation Task Force resolution. So those are the three that are outstanding should council want to put forth a support resolution from the township.
Okay, I'd be willing to put forth support resolutions for those. I do like to support our partners. The one that I would like to draw attention to is the partner letter of support for Thunder Bay Northwestern Ontario Local Immigration Partnership Agreement holder. So my understanding is this is going to become across Northern Ontario. Our community has benefited greatly. We fell into the Sault Ste. Marie catchment area, which we weren't able to utilize during the pilot. And I want to ensure that we're in if it's totally across Northern Ontario, that it actually happens. If not, I would like to join Thunder Bay. Because they opened up their whole target. We sit right on the border. Manitowoc and White River are within Thunder Bay. So, and they're not having that issue, or sorry, I'm not sure if White River is, but we could advocate alongside them to get pushed up the Thunder Bay way if we're not included in the entire. Oh, go ahead, Stacey.
We're actually part of the Timmins Arnott region, so they extended theirs to Hearst, but didn't include Hornepayne or Consumworth. But that would be actually our area for Arnott would be Timmins.
Okay, that was not my understanding when I looked into it last fall. They sent me to the Sioux. They told me that I was not in part of Timmins.
They told us, like at our last meeting, because all of our immigration stuff and our labor force is from the Timmins area.
Okay.
So they, Far Northeast Training Board said that we were part of the Arnott for Timmins, not Sault Ste. Marie, even though we're in a NOMA.
Okay. Okay, that's totally not the information I received when I was talking to the people from the federal government who set up the program. So there's totally miscommunication everywhere. So do you know, Stacey, if they blanket it for the entire entire Northern Ontario now, or are they sticking to these little groups?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I wasn't aware of that either, because I went to that meeting. Well,
Yeah.
We were at that meeting with the group and I didn't.
They never mentioned Timmins at all. None of it. They mentioned us sort of like that, and they told us to advocate at Sault Ste. Marie level. So, okay, well, thank you for that clarification, Stacey. I'm willing to support all of these motions if we bring them back. I think I'll make a call to Timmins Arnott. I'm just worried that if they institute it, that they need to blanket across Northern Ontario. Because if they don't, it's inequitable because Hornepayne, White River, Duberville, and Wawa, and Chapleau are not captured. And the far north, for that matter. So, my understanding is from Thunder Bay, or from the Manitowoc, or all the way to the west is completely captured because Thunder Bay opened up their entire boundaries for it. So. Okay, so is there any further discussion on any of the resolutions that are coming back? Is council well supportive of the three that will come back to our table? Yeah. Okay, if there's no further discussion, then I'll put those acknowledge receipt of those meeting minutes to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried. And I do, before we move on, I always got to give a shout out to Andrea for that the NOMA board meeting summary report. If you read that, you get a good feel for what's happening across Northwestern Ontario. Okay, council committee updates. If I can do a round table. We'll start with Councillor Peter Kistenbaker.
I got nothing mad at this time, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Ted Chandler.
And I'm also nothing to report this time.
Okay, perfect. Councillor Belinda Kistenbaker.
I don't have anything as well.
Okay, wow, we're ready to move, eh? I just have just two items. I was to write a letter to Doug Ford, which I didn't accomplish, and it should have been on your information only, so it'll be on the April 3rd. That was for the Violence Against Women support. So it'll be in your information only, and we'll get that out. The other item that I do want to give a heads up to council that I was sought out by Carla Nell from the IESO. She's the vice president, asking me if I'd be interested on their IESO board. And I did meet with their board chair, and I have said yes to putting my name forward. So it's still a long process. It's a 6-month process, but I just want to give that update. Okay, and Northern Ontario business, my brain is melting. New and other business. Okay. Institute of Public Administration of Canada. Okay, this is, I asked Eileen to put this on. I think that it would be a fitting award for Gail. And I did make contact with 5 people that are willing to do support letters, and we can include them in the motion. It's Wendy Landry, the president of NOMA, Jamie McGarvey, the past president of AMO, Debbie Wilcox, I'm not sure of her business title, she's a leadership.
We'll find it, yeah.
Yeah, she's got a leadership business. David Arbuckle from AMTCO, and Michael Wildman from Government Wayfinders, and then we would be the 6th letter of support. So I'll, if I can get a mover and a seconder, and then we can discuss. Moved by Councillor Belinda Kissmaker, second by Councillor Peter Kissmaker. Whereas the Lieutenant Governor's Medal of Distinction in Public Administration is Ontario's highest honor for public service and recognizes a public servant in Ontario who has demonstrated exemplary leadership, dedication, and innovation, and contributed significantly to their community. And whereas public administration is an honorable calling, attracting those with a commitment to making our communities and province a better place to live. And whereas the eligibility criteria for this award includes individuals currently or formerly employed at any level of government. And therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby nominate Gail Jeremy, former and now retired CAO clerk for the Township of Hornepayne. Be it further resolved that the following individuals shall provide letters in support for this nomination: Wendy Landry, Jamie McGarvey, Debbie Wilcox, David Arbuckle, Michael Wellman, and the Township of Hornepayne. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, I thought it fitting, and all the members of the staff and council that have been to municipal conferences over the last 8 years that I've been attending, the amount of work that was completed, and now to put this in perspective, we had a longtime staff member who really never was aspiring for that role, decided to take that role in the light of an upcoming retirement, did her credentials, went, did the training, did the executive leadership at Ivy as well, and all above and beyond the role. And at the same time, led a team. And I think it's significant when you had never been the leader of the team to step into that role from the position. And I think I would love to see her be awarded this medal. Okay. If there's no further discussion on that, I put that motion to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, 10.2, departmental work plans. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Belinda Kissmaker, second by Councillor Ted Shedeman. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby acknowledge receipt of the 2024 departmental work plans as prepared by the senior management team and reviewed and approved by the CAO clerk. Any comment on those work plans? Okay, I did have a couple of questions. I couldn't find, and maybe I just missed it, was the property standards bylaw. Had we not included that in one of the packages that Michael was doing?
Property
Property standards bylaw?
there's the 5 things that he's working on. One second.
I thought by memory that was one of them, and I couldn't find where it was at.
Yeah, so we have, I think, the 4, but I think we missed the property standards on here. Because most of these goals are pulled from the strat plan, so Michael's doing, I think, about 4 of them, and the property standards isn't actually like an additional strategic plan on there. It's just something additional he said he would do, from what I recall. Because I know there's and it's under Dwayne's, on Dwayne's departmental, it's adopted municipal vehicles and equipment maintenance and disposal policy, adopted municipal buildings and properties maintenance and disposal policy. The other one is adopted, follow the minimum maintenance standards. And there's 2 others, property standards, and I can't recall, does any of the staff recall the 5th one? I don't recall it off the top of my head, but there is a 5th one that municipal government wayfinders is completing.
Okay, so is the property standards bylaw in here somewhere and I just missed it?
No, it's not in here.
Okay, so, but
It's being worked on, and the staff is assisting where possible, but it's not directly being worked on by the public works manager.
okay. So it's just not captured in these work plans?
In the public works managers, no.
Okay. Okay, and then the final question I had was for our accounting and budgeting for this year. Because it says ongoing and,
And so
I'm just wondering if are we foreseeing an issue for trying to get the budget timelines moved up for this year?
sorry, Mayor Port, which one are you looking at?
I'm
The
looking
client
at-
services manager, and is it under the 2024 goals?
No, 2024 strategic plan priorities. And it's a purple box. I don't know, 258 is the page of the agenda package.
Okay, that's okay, sorry, and what was it called, the title?
It's the accelerated budget submission and adoption timelines. And I believe it was a P1. And I'm just wondering, because it says it has a to be announced, I think.
The end date is to be determined, because
to be determined.
it's something we started last year, right? When we got Richard essentially going on it, and actually it was something that the treasurer had began. But it is ongoing because it's something that we're going to strive towards every year. So that's why we placed it as ongoing, if that makes sense. We're it's accelerating the budget submission and adoption timeline. So the comment section hasn't been started. It's been started because we started in 2023, but it's still ongoing. So it's either started, not started, or ongoing. Those are the options.
I'm just a bit concerned that, so what does TB stand for? To be determined?
Yeah.
It's just, we've had this on our horizon now for 5 years. And I'm just concerned that if we don't have a date where we're actually, where we're meeting the goals, like I don't mind if it's next year or the year after, but to be determined kind of leaves it a little ambiguous to me.
So this plan is just for 2024. So if there's anything that is going to be worked on for next year, it's like this is specific to 2024. So to be determined the aim is to get it to council by, let's say, the 1st of January, the first meeting in January, and to have, everything kind of propelled forward versus I think from previous practice, it didn't come to council till maybe March, April. I'm not sure. Like I don't think last year's was a good example to use, but it's like we can easily change that, but it's just to be determined because there is no end date. It's something that to me is something that is constantly going to be worked on because you never know what's going to happen in a year, but you're obviously going to try and do it by the first meeting of the following year. So 2025 is the goal, right? The first meeting in January.
So TBD on this is that, so it's not getting done, there's no end date for this year then. We couldn't put 2025 because these are 2024 work plans. So that's why we use,
If council would like, I can change the TBD to December 2024, but that makes it clearer to them.
well, it has to be realistic though, too, though, like, go ahead.
So the treasurer has a
Yeah,
comment.
go ahead.
So the budget's already passed for 2024, so the end date would be already passed.
Yeah, no, I'm not on the budget. I saw that up ahead. We had them on the first and second quarter.
Yeah, but that is the budget submissions.
Yeah, but we're talking, I would assume that the accelerated budget submission and adoption timelines is talking about your next year's budget.
Well, no, because this is our 2024 department plan.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so to make it clearer for council, this is what they'd like. I can put December 2024 because essentially staff are working towards completing the 2025 budget earlier this year. So we would like to get it to council by the January 2025 meeting. We can't guarantee, there might be some delays, but essentially our goal is to get it to council as early as possible. And we're striving for the first meeting in January. Now, it might be the second meeting in January, but we can let council know. So I can change the end date on the treasurer's end date under this item and put it to December 2024 if that is more, agreeable to council.
Any questions or comments from council on this discussion item?
If I may.
Yeah, go ahead, Councilor Shana.
Thank you. I think if I'm understanding your concern is that there's no deadline as saying that we're working on the 2025 to be able to do that. Is that so that we've got the 2024 is done, we're done. So I think Madam Mayor wants to see that we're in progress to work on the 2025, and the wording of that would be the hard part. So probably with Eileen's December 2024 would accommodate that with the expectation that the work is being done towards that 2025 in 2024, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, my question was, are we going to be on track for this year for the accelerated, that's the 2025?
Yeah.
And I didn't know what TBD stood for. So, and I didn't know if it was a deadline or what, so. Go ahead.
So sorry, can I just get clarification or direction from council if that's what they'd like me to do?
I would be fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just say that we should have end dates that are actual end dates, and then, because I think when I went through, because I went to look for other TBDs, and I don't think I found them. Like it all had an end date on it, or it was some places it was just ongoing, it took up the whole. So I was trying to understand the logic.
Okay, so I can go through and change the TBDs just to December 2024, and if they don't get accomplished this year, then they'll get moved on to the 2025 departmental work plan.
Yeah, because there was some that were, like, they were the next year, if they were, like if it was a multi-year. Did I say that? Sorry, I'm losing that spot. Go ahead.
There are some like that, but
Okay.
some of them are bigger projects, right? Like some of them need to be worked on over a few years, and if I can have the EDO speak through the CAO or through me.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think, well, you'll notice mine is like that, but mine end dates are, because I'm on a federal contract. So you might have noticed that my end dates are just December 2024, some of them will go to April 2025 and 2026. And that's because they're the milestones on my federal application.
Okay. Yeah, and I have no problem with that, like if that's if that's even with this, if the goal is to have it presented to us by the beginning of January, then put that as the date, even though it's a 2024 work plan. Like I don't want to make it more restrictive or make people feel like they're set up for failure or anything. I honestly just didn't know what it meant. Okay, any further questions? I did have one other question I am on page 263 of the departmental work funds, and it's, I think this is the economic development officer. I'm sorry, I can't see the titles. The question I had was for the create strategies to develop economic development fund for economic and community development initiatives. Are we looking at all with the work that we're doing at MAT, at instituting that for the township? Municipal accommodation tax.
Am I looking at it right now?
Yeah, or is it included in those initiatives?
Oh, not in the 2024.
Okay, has it come up at all in our business retention strategies or anything?
It did not.
Okay, so I'm just, why I bring it up, council, is MAT is the municipal accommodation tax where you can charge 4%. And we have I think it's something we should look at instituting in the near future, just because we do have a new hotel coming. And I believe the percentage is you get to divide 2% to the municipality and then 2% to you can do it for tourism. Like there's lots of benefits to it. And when you're talking about this, it can be upwards like 80,000 a year. It's not like if you do the calculations on all the room rates and all of that. So it is based on an honor system. They have to pay the municipality, but lots of municipalities are doing it now, so. And I think that was all my questions. Yeah. So any further questions from council? Okay, there being none. I put that acknowledge receipt to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, item number 10.3 is the, first of all, I'll do a roundtable for council. We're at 8:11 here. Does council, are you good to proceed?
Yeah.
Or do you need a break? Okay, we'll continue. Okay, 10.3 is the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry MNRF. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please, and we'll open up the floor. Moved by Councillor Peter Kistinger, second by Councillor Ted Sheneman. Be it resolved that the Council of Corporation of Township of Hornepayne does hereby approve the recommendation of reducing municipal protection area, MPA, to 0 forested areas within the staff report FCSR 2024-01 MNRF Forest Fire Managed Municipal Agreement Renewal. Be it further resolved that a bylaw to amend bylaw number 1925 Municipal Forest Fire Agreement 2022 and 2027 will be brought back to an upcoming council meeting. Okay, questions on the agreement? And Miles isn't here tonight. He was supposed to be in, couldn't attend after, and sends his regrets. So I guess any questions we have, we'll just go through you and we can get answers later. Go ahead, Annie.
I was just gonna say to council that this agreement does end at the end of March, so it would be like the new agreement would start on April 1st, so if we would need council to approve and then go back to MNRF and get the amended agreement and then bring it back to council, so that's kind of the next steps. And I can answer any questions. It's essentially Miles in his report just indicates that the municipal protection area is going to be reduced to 0 forested areas and that the MNRF will protect all forested areas within the municipality. So this would reduce our liability should a fire from the municipal area need to be extinguished by the MNRF, or should a fire spread from our area into Crown area and then need to be extinguished by the MNRF. And essentially it goes up, the comprehensive protective charges go up from 1508 to 2216.
Annually.
I believe so. It's in the agreement.
Yeah, I believe it's annual. We saw that one.
It's annual. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, just a question of clarification then. Why do we need an agreement? Because this agreement goes till 2027.
Because I brought it to council's attention because you're changing, like you're reducing the MPA. So you're essentially, it's not just a price change. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because usually we just renew it. And I understand the past practice was actually bringing the renewal back every year. And so you don't actually need to bring it back just for the change in price each year, because it's not a significant change, but because we're now reducing the area that essentially the township is gone down to 0 forested areas. So that's why I brought it back to council, just so that you can approve that change.
Okay. Yeah, I have no problem. I thought it was really well done report and I read the agreement. I just, in the agreement itself, that as long as we do it by August or April the 1st for any changes to the agreement, it doesn't sound like we need a full new agreement.
They need to give us a new fire management agreement area map, because that map that it's attached under Miles's report, that's the proposed map. So then if council agrees to it, then we go and advise MNRF, they amend the agreement with the new map, and then that gets passed by the township.
Okay, so that's appendix A and B.
Yes, and I can get the deputy clerk to clarify as well regarding appendix A and E as well, which have a few changes on there.
Okay.
So annually, I believe it's appendix A and C are updated because annual prices, and that is allowed for within the agreement. It states that there will be an update annually. It doesn't have to be brought back. However, I didn't find anywhere where it says that appendix can be amended without council approval. It in fact says that it has to be agreed upon by both the municipality and the ministry. So from my understanding, that means that they'll be giving us an amending agreement, because it will need consent from both parties, rather than just the annual price updates.
Okay, well, however they decide in the end, I just by reading the agreement, I didn't think we had to go to all that trouble, but if we do, we do.
It'll be
Council, are you in favor of this? Are we understanding what's happening in the change CPA? Any further questions on this motion? No? Okay, I put it to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried and opposed. Okay, item number 10.4, long-term loans amended. Okay, so we brought this back to council because we, for time constraints last meeting. Okay, I had a couple of questions just on the amended report. The 3rd Avenue project description, was it updated to reflect the capital projects? Because it doesn't make sense to me.
Oh my God, my iPad died, sorry.
Oh, that's okay,
What page is it on?
I'm on page 311 or 3 of your report,
Okay.
or 311. It's just the highlighted, the second last
Oh, yeah.
paragraph.
Oh, yeah, I should have took that part out, sorry about that.
Okay, because I'm wondering if we actually, can we align the report? Because it was very confusing. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I had missed it on the, because my understanding, I just want to clarify for council, if we go with option 1, there's no debt that we're incurring. We
That's
have
right.
all the money for that, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's where I was
Yeah.
like, did we not mention the sewer in the meeting? And I was like losing my mind. Okay. And, okay.
I didn't even think to look at the words, I just updated the tables and that was it.
Yeah, that's what I figured happened after, because I was going, I first was just going by the words, and then I was like, I think I missed something with on the presentation. Okay. Okay, so when I went through this report, I think we have to have further discussion on if we're going to do any more strategic fundraising for the arena project. I like the suggestion in the report of sending that to CDAC. The only question I had was, do we have the capability to hire an NOHFC intern that can help manage that with CDAC, that all they do is the fundraising portion? Because I don't know if volunteers are gonna be able to handle the work involved there.
I'm not sure, I'd have to look into it, but yeah, no information at this point to give council on that.
Okay, and just because when I went through the fundraising options, which were extensive, I thought all of them could be included except the direct mail campaigns. I was like, that could be, I just didn't know how much of a benefit. And then I wasn't sure where a direct donation fundraiser would fit in, where if it's set up on account and they're giving to a charitable donation. Was that listed in one of them, Melissa?
Yeah.
I didn't know what category it fit in.
For which one, sorry.
Like if you wanted to give a direct donation, like, to a charity, and you just directly give, and that's the end of it, where you set up a monthly direct donation.
Oh, yeah, I didn't include that.
Okay, I wasn't sure, so I just added it. Well, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, the acting treasurer, like, at the February 7th meeting had noted on his presentation or his report that, just a suggestion as to how they could set up their own system for donations. I don't know if this kind of answers it, but it is the direct donation thing. So that you could do donations for arena and donations for ball field. It would be a new general ledger account for each project, and then the funds can be funds are sent essentially to the township, and then they can be tracked through these accounts. And at the end of the calendar year, staff can issue tax deductible receipts to the donors. And the donations can be one-time payment or a series of monthly checks.
Okay. So I just added it there as direct donation, just because that's another item. And then the thing that gets me about this is this weekend up at the arena, we had people fundraising for the ball field. People were already talking about what they can do to contribute. And I think there's an appetite to do some fundraising for our community. And I would hate to hinder people if they want to get involved, right? We've dealt with that before where people don't feel like they can be involved and doors get shut. And I'd rather try and open them as much as we can. I do understand that this, like a fundraising project of this size would be immense, because I am personally not thinking of just 30,000 and 12,000. I would like us to, I honestly, if I could have my way, and I would like to see the doors open without debt by the 100th anniversary. Like open ahead of time, but then we pay that loan off.
Yeah.
And because there's no way, when you look at the amount of money that we've spent getting $1 million for our water plant and put that over 30 years, it's a tune of 30,000. It's in here. It's 30,000 a year in just interest payments that we signed our community up. Yeah, right here. Yeah, the water treatment plant, 1.179 million at an annual interest rate of 3.64%, which doesn't sound bad for 30 years though, is a principal, 2024, the principal payment was 33,000 and the 2024 interest was just under 32,000 every year. Obviously it fluctuates, but that's like, even saying it right now, I think if we were to, I don't know if we do it through a town hall meeting and get people on board, but I think there's appetite to say, like, look, we don't want to pay for this facility, we want to own it. And we don't want to waste our time and our money paying interest when we have more projects that are coming. And I know I broke it down that a couple of times that if you divide like 1.2 million by 1,000 people over 2 years, it becomes a lower and lower monthly payment where it's manageable. Stuff like that. Or I really like the suggestion in the report of corporate sponsorship. We just got our rebranding. We're just in the process of that. Like, how do we brand that whole new facility? and get corporate sponsors on board. And we have, if we're looking at, this is just one idea that I had, was that if the loan is set out to, we have to get the loan to do the work, but then we go with a payoff date of our 100th anniversary, and we build the momentum for that. So we have a huge ribbon cutting, and that building is ours on that day, and build up the momentum. But also during the time, we cover those extra donations amounts, or sorry, the extra interest amounts that we're going to accumulate because we have to get a loan to do it. But I think if we were to show this to our community, that look at, these are the choices that we're faced with, and we have, like, and these other projects, we don't have a choice. Like, we have to do the dechlorionization, which we're having our meeting tomorrow, which I am going to talk to the minister about, but, what's the other one that we have? There's another $1 million one. I can't think of it right now. Anyway. Go ahead.
I just did want to mention to council that staff does need direction from council on how to proceed, how to proceed with items that have been approved on the 2024 budget, which are listed in the treasurer's report. So the capital that requires loans in 2024, which is specifically the baseball field and the arena project. So if we can just get some direction from council on those two.
And don't we need to have a discussion too about the fire hall? What we're spending at the fire hall? We need to decide that at some point in the year. Because when we discussed it, when we passed the operational without that in it, like those payments.
Yeah, but today it's just these two, just because of miles. I would like the fire chief at that discussion as well.
Okay. And right now we're looking at a $660,000 loan, and then $220 is the loan for the ball field, right? Those are the two items that we're discussing today, or the discussion on the whole 1.17 that is our portion of the arena.
And if I can get the treasurer
Yeah,
to.
go ahead.
I just wanted to focus specifically on those two items, just so we can get the ball rolling for, because we need to start, like, we need to get a hold of JLR Richards and stuff and get things moving along again, but without council's approval, we can't really move forward with those. Like the other ones could, if you need more information, could like wait or what, a couple months or whatever, and but if you want to provide direction tonight, that's fine too as well for everything, but just leave it for those two specific ones.
Okay, is there any way that we can get, because for this year, it would be the 880,000 that you need then, right? To get those projects moving forward for this year?
So,
for a loan, I mean?
yeah, so I just want some clarification from what you just said. So is it council's direction that we're gonna go for those loans, and then we're gonna just keep on adding it up until it's time to pay it off? Then we're gonna decide, like, are we definitely going for loans to start the project?
Well, that was my question. That's actually what I was gonna ask you.
Oh, that's what you're.
Yeah, I was like, what's our options? Like, that's why I was wondering, like, how much do you need to start off, or do we go for a bigger revolving loan? So that, like, I don't want to get caught in with, I don't want to get caught that we can't pay something off.
So Melissa, maybe if you can look at Dwayne's iPad, but on your report for under 2024 draft capital budget, which is on page 5, are you asking council that, okay, we need 220,000 for the baseball field? And
what? Sorry.
That's okay. Under 2024 draft capital budget,
yeah.
Is it the two last amounts that's the amounts you need council to approve at this point for a long-term loan?
Yeah.
Right? For these two projects. So the 220,000 for the ball field, and then 660,000 for the arena expansion project.
Right.
So
right. That's what we're talking about.
So back to your question. So if we go for a loan, say tomorrow I call Infrastructure Ontario and say, okay, we're doing this $5 million project for the arena. So they'll front us the money, and then as the money comes in, we pay it back, and then we have to just pay the interest on that. But then when the arena gets to substantial completion, is that what it's called? Substantial it's what? well, that's what, I don't know if it's the right terminology, but
Okay,
it's
no,
construction.
go ahead.
And that's when you have to wrap it all up.
Oh. And how long on our, funding agreement do we have to come to substantial completion?
I believe it's 2027.
For the arena project, yeah, it's 2027.
Okay, so what's the definition of substantial completion?
Oh, that's in the Construction Act or something.
So.
And up until then, all you have to do is pay interest payments?
Yeah.
Okay, my brain's thinking, sorry, I'm getting tired. Can we find out that information?
Yeah,
And then
for
we'll have a discussion further on that?
Mhm.
I think we're gonna have a discussion on the ball field tonight. Is there any funds available that we can pay for the ball field or get it started? Or what kind of payment plan are they looking for? There wouldn't be upfront payment for it, would it? Oh, sorry, my brain's getting tired.
Well, we have 135 sitting in deferred revenue right now that we got from OTI.
Oh, so we do have,
Yeah, we have money.
we do have some time to start
Yeah.
that project, get it going, okay, and then we can find out for the arena project then, so, understanding the fulsome of our contract, of what we're allowed, what, you had said about, substantial completion or whatever, what that
That's what it's
definition,
called.
yeah,
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
I found the definition if you want me to.
No, we'll just let it, you
Okay.
put it together and then, cause I think we're getting tired and it's already 8:30 and, we can bring this back if council's in agreement. Okay, cause we have still more to talk about, cause we. Okay, so I'm gonna put, do we want to, do we wanna put deferred to this and then we'll give Melissa opportunity to fix up the amended report? Do you want the opportunity to do that?
Sure.
Yeah, just so it's aligned. If I can get a mover and a seconder to defer and we'll allow that to happen, moved by Councillor Peter Kissmaker, second by Councillor Belinda Kissmaker. And can you read that out? Thank you.
Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of Township of Hornepayne does hereby defer item 10.4, long-term loans amended to the next available.
Right on, thank you. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, we're gonna pile through here to 10.5 website analytics. And if I can get a mover and a seconder for that, please. Moved by Councillor Belinda Kissmaker, second by Councillor Ted Shinman. Be it resolved that council does hereby receive report number CAOSR 2024-03 Township website analytics as information. Any questions on those? I'm thinking we might bring this up in past minutes when Councillor Stefanik is here. So I put that to a vote to receive as information. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, item number 10.6, implemented retention strategies. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Peter Kissmaker, second by Councillor Drago. Oh, sorry. Now I got Drago on the brain. Councillor Ted Shinman. Be it resolved that council does hereby receive item number 10.6, implement business retention and attraction strategies, business licenses as information. So I asked our staff to put this on the agenda because I was trying to align the strategic plan, our zoning bylaw, and our official plan, because I had outreach from business owners in our community seeking some sort of protection with business licensing. So this is on the floor, so we can ask some questions through you to the Economic Development Officer of where we're at on that, just to allow the community to know that it's in some sort of work in progress.
Well, I've done initial, I have a really bad headache, so I'm gonna try for words. But I've done some initial research on the business licensing process. It didn't come up through any of our businesses that were interviewed through the BRME. And one of them was the person who wrote the email to council about the problem, but she that business licensing wasn't an issue. Anyway, with business licensing, it's not the time for us to implement this because we're doing the BRNE strategy and our market gap. So we're starting the initial relationships with the businesses of town. We don't want to start with business licensing. So it'll be something that we review in either year 2 or year 3, unless we have, unless council wants it to be different, but it can actually be a hindrance to businesses starting and the business relationship. So there's a high cost associated with putting the business license process forward. So we would just have to have a strategy. We'd have to have a bunch of engagement. We'd have to decide who's going to enforce it. So there would be, we have to have someone local, bylaw enforcer. We have to set the strategy. So it's something that we can look at, but I think when we do our ROI on it, it's something that we're probably going to put off for a few years.
Yeah, I wanted to, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to add that we would definitely need, just so council's aware, a bylaw enforcement officer for that, because we do have bylaws in the municipality that are quite hard to enforce. I've gotten the bylaw enforcement officer from Wawaen, and for instance, the animal bylaw, like people are not following it, and I'm trying to enforce it and it's not working. So you definitely, when you're gonna have something like that in place, it's really important to have the officer in place in town to be able to enforce the bylaws.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's something we have to look at strategizing in the future, is how do we make that happen? Do we, make it a combined effort between a bylaw officer and a building inspector, which now we pay outside of the community? And do we look at creating something within the community that's a dual role, right? Because especially if we're planning on growing and we're planning on building more in our community, we're not gonna be able to rely on a shared service at that level, because even now things get messed, right? But I want to thank you, Stacy, for bringing that up to where we are, because the one thing that, and I do agree, I don't want to put business licensing in tomorrow and no building a relationship with our businesses. I think one of the reasons that might have been why businesses didn't even think to ask for it in Hornepayne is we've never really had it. We had a peddler's permit back in the day, but there are some advantages to our businesses for it. First of all, we end up with a directory of our businesses. We can take better stats of what we have. It helps us with investment readiness, and it also stops this people just coming into our community, setting up shop and selling whatever they want and competing directly with the people who have the brick and mortar stores and contribute to our tax base. So like we lose that complete income. Even the my understanding is there's some licensing involved. So like if you want to do door-to-door peddling, all of that, like there's some, there's a fee to be able to do that within a municipality. And yeah, so I would rather it come that we build a relationship with the businesses, and then we see what Stacy had said, the return on investment on it, and that it becomes a buy-in by the businesses, and then they see that it's something that would help them. And totally agree, we need a bylaw officer to ensure it, so. Okay, that's it on that. Is there any other questions about that from council? No, I'll put that to, do I have information? Yes, I read it. I'll put that to a vote. Those in favor? Okay. Where are we? 8:40. Okay, bylaws. Mover and a seconder for 11.1. Moved by Councillor Peter Kistimaker, second by Councillor Ted Shenman. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2064 being a bylaw to enter into the agreement for the provision of communication, call taking, alerting, or dispatching services to the Township of Hornepayne Fire Department by the Sault Ste. Marie Central Ambulance Communication Center, CACC, operated by and under the authority of the Sault Area Hospitals, SAH, be hereby read a first and second time, considered read a third time, and finally passed. Any discussion on that bylaw? And did you want to speak to this bylaw? Sorry, I have a star beside it and I can't remember why.
I can just advise council that it's essentially, I did chat with the fire chief, and he said that it's essentially if anybody calls 911, they say, do you need fire, ambulance, or police? And essentially if they say fire, and then CACC, so CAC is what it's called, essentially then dispatches that out for this region. And a lot of municipalities in the Oklahoma region are with CAC. And the township has been with them since 1999. Miles, the fire chief, said that it's quite inexpensive and it's very reasonable what they're charging. So, yeah, so that's pretty much the update.
Well, it's about time, right? We talked about that in the meeting. Now it's coming back to what we talked about, because it was 1999.
Yeah.
The last, I was like, yeah, okay, it's about time. Okay, I knew there was a star beside that for some reason. Okay. Any further comments or questions on that bylaw? There being none, I put it to a vote. Those in favor? Okay. I am going to suggest that bylaw number, oh, not this one. Mover and a seconder for 11.2. Moved by Councillor Ted Shannon, second by Councillor Peter Kissmaker. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2065 being a bylaw to protect and safeguard the integrity of buildings and land subject to tax sales process and which have not been yet transferred to a third-party purchaser be hereby read a first and second time and considered read a third time and finally passed. And I have Eileen.
Yes, so I can just advise council that there was a outdated regulation in here and we've just updated it in a few of the paragraphs and now it's up to date. If that works for council, I can tell them it's Ontario Regulation 181-/03 municipal tax rules. That's the regulation that's the correct legislation.
Any further comments on that bylaw, council? Okay, there being none, I put it to a vote. Those in favor? That's carried. Okay, my suggestion is 11.3 that we'll defer, because I have comments on that and I don't want to talk about them tonight. I'm sorry, I'm getting tired. Okay, so a mover and a seconder to defer 11.3, moved by Councillor Peter Kissmaker, second by Councillor Ted Shannon. Go ahead, Jen.
Be it resolved that council does hereby defer item 11.3, bylaw number 66, or 2066, travel policy and payment of expenses to the next available meeting.
Okay, thank you for that, Jen. Put that to a vote. And that's carried. And that was those in favor.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think Deputy.
Yes, go ahead.
I do just want to clarify, so now the bylaw numbers for the next ones will be the one before, so just for the resolution, make note.
Okay, so
2067 will be
65.
66, which I put 66 for all of them. Just notice that too. Crushing it, guys.
Okay, so it's 65. What is it, 65?
No, so
66?
11.4 is 66, so that one's right now.
Okay.
And 11.5 is 67 now.
Okay, perfect, okay.
My bad.
That's okay. Hey, we went through this whole thing and didn't notice it. Okay. If I can get a mover and a seconder for 11.4, please. Moved by Councillor Peter Kissmaker, second by Councillor Belinda Kissmaker. Be it resolved that bylaw number 266 being a bylaw to establish the tax ratios for the corporation of the Township of Hornepayne for 2024 be hereby read first and second time and considered read a third time and finally passed. Any comments on the tax ratio bylaw? Okay, there being none, I put that to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, tax rates and mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Ted Shannon, second by Councillor Belinda Kissmaker. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2067 being a bylaw to establish a point-in-time cutoff for all property classes and to fix the rates of taxation for all property classes for the year 2024 be hereby read a first and second time and considered read a third time and finally passed. Any comment on that bylaw? There being none, I put it to a vote. Those in favor? Go ahead. Or we're good.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm telling you, this is long. Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute break while we set up for open. I guess I should pass that resolution to go into close first, though. If I can get a mover and a seconder for that, please. Moved by Councillor Peter Kissmaker, second by Councillor Ted Shannon. Be it resolved that the next portion of the meeting at 8:44 p.m. be closed to the public in order to discuss The security of the property of the municipality or local board, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiation carried on or on behalf of the municipality or local board pursuant to section 2392 A, B, K of the Municipal Act 2001. Those in favor? And that's carried. Okay.
Okay, if I can get a mover and a seconder to return to open, please. Moved by Councillor Ted Shannon, second by Councillor Peter Kitzmaker. Be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby return to open council at 9:27 PM. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, we do have business arising from the closed session. We have two motions. If I can get a mover and a seconder for the first one of the Ontario Police Services Board. Moved by Councillor Ted Shenman, second by Councillor Peter Kitzmaker. Whereas the Province of Ontario passed the Comprehensive Ontario Police Services Act 2019, Bill 68, establishing the Community Safety and Policing Act 2019, which is in effect on April 1st, 2024. And whereas the Solicitor General recently approved the creation of a new Superior East Regional Ontario Provincial Police OPP Detachment Board governing the municipalities of Wawa, White River, Hornepayne, Dubreuilville, and Chapleau, which include the requirement for all municipalities to appoint 2 community members from the participating municipalities to sit on the board, and whereas the opportunity to sit on the Superior East OPP Detachment Board as a community representative was advertised in all 5 communities, and 4 applications of interest were received and subsequently evaluated by a team consisting of all 5 municipal CAOs from the region on March 13th, 2024. And based on applicant experience and diversity of community representation, the municipal CAOs unanimously recommended the following 2 candidates be appointed to the Superior East Regional OPP Detachment Board: Chris Buckle, Wawa, and Irene Hughes-Yante of Chapleau. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby approve the appointment of Chris Buckle and Irene Hughes, it should be Hughes-Yante, I believe, to the Superior East Regional OPP Detachment Board effective April 1st, 2024, for the term of office ending November 14th, 2026, or until a successor is appointed. Any comment on that motion? There being none, I put it to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, and our second motion coming out of the closed session, if I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Peter Kitzmaker, seconded by Councillor Ted Shenman. Whereas the Township of Hornepayne has received a proposal from Richard Bennett to work with the treasurer to complete all reconciliations, adjustments, year-end working papers, and potentially the financial information return in order to reduce annual audit fees. And whereas council sees great merit in this project, which streamlines the annual auditing process and reduces auditing costs of the municipality moving forward. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby agree to the proposal at a price which is lower of 50% of the savings from this year's annual audit bill, or the actual hours spent at a rate of $65 per hour. Any comment on that motion? There being none, I put it to a vote. Those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, moving towards adjournment, and 15.1, a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Ted Shenman, second by Councillor Peter Kitzmaker. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2069, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at their,
Therefore, it's 2068. Based on.
2068, the numbering, okay. At their proceedings of council at their regular meeting held on Wednesday, March 20th, 2024, be hereby read a first and second time, be considered read a third time, and finally passed. Those in favor? And that is carried. And adjournment. Moved by Councillor Peter Kitzmaker, second by Councillor Belinda Kitzmaker. Be it resolved that council does hereby adjourn this regular meeting of council held on Wednesday, March 20th, 2024 at 9:31 PM. Those in favor? And that is carried.
Good job, Madam Mayor.